Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everyone, to a Tuesday stream. It is 12:30 Eastern. It is July 26th, and it is day 42 of Adventures in Middle-earth Erebor Adventures. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to Sleeping Dragon's Lie as we continue our trek across the waste. It's super delightful this time of year, by which I mean not delightful at all. But I hope everyone is enjoying themselves and having an okay few days. It is much cooler here today, which is very nice. We're back down to a much more rational, I think we're in the high 70s-ish, so it's nice, cool mid-70s here, so that's all good. So, so we are here for some more tabletop adventuring with Adventures in Middle-earth. If you haven't already done so, a couple of ways to support the stream. Please follow the channel if you haven't done so already. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. Please sub to us over there. Please check out our Discord channel with !ArvCord. That is always appreciated if you're able to do that. Please check out our Twitter as well with !ArvTweets. That is always appreciated. And if you haven't already done so, please consider as well checking out the website for this, which is arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvTreon, that is the Patreon, which is the financial backbone of the channel, so that is always appreciated. Subbing to the channel is always really good as well. Again, that allows you to get those custom sub badges and emotes to use everywhere across Twitch, plus inspirations to help the players. Same thing with, of course, the Patreon. You can also get inspirations to help the players too. And if you haven't already done so, please consider checking out on the publishing side, !Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts, !Library, my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and of course, !Greyshade, which will get you over to the, I believe right now, the backer kit, if I'm not mistaken. You can get Greyshade right now, order it directly from Athos Arts or from wherever fine books are sold. But you can also get over to the backer kit where, if you missed our Kickstarter, you can jump on board so that we can provide you the information you need to be able to support it by getting the next two books in the series, pre-ordering the next two books in the series, Renegade and Heretic, plus the 5e RPG, which is going to be coming out via the Alligator Alley Entertainment folks. That's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited for that game. Very excited for all of that. In fact, all of Greyshade. We were just funded a few weeks ago. And of course, if you haven't already done so, please consider as well checking out !BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, Ukraine, which is the way to help people in the country of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war. And they have been devastated by this war, and this is a chance for us to be able to step up in a small way and help as they continue that fight. Quick note about scheduling. We've got Adventures of Middle-earth going on now at 4:15 this afternoon. I'll be over on GOG.com's Twitch channel for the next installment of D&D with GOG, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. As we continue that campaign, we will be joined by special guest Flayos again, so that should be a really good time. We actually have moved into part 3 of that campaign called Danger at Dunwater, so I'm very excited to deal with that. And then we will be off tonight and tomorrow and probably Thursday, although keep your eyes peeled. It is possible there may be a bonus stream somewhere in there. On Friday, we have the premiere of Court of Blades, Session 1 of Court of Blades, a Speculate event. Very cool if you've seen the intro video for this. We've got some really cool overlays as well. It's going to be pretty slick. I am excited for Court of Blades. And then on Saturday, I'll be playing in that one. And then Saturday, we have the premiere of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, which is our newest campaign, sponsored by Alligator Alley Entertainment. That'll be coming to you on 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So we've got that going on, and that will end up the month of July, and then we'll move into August, which is going to be very exciting, but very busy. But we are pumped up for it. It's going to be a good time, and I'm going to have at least one live stream from Gen Con. In fact, I have to do some more writing of the D&D adventure. I started it yesterday, and I have more work to do over the next few days, but we will get it done, and I am very excited for Gen Con, which is going to be coming up next week. Man, hard to believe. Anyway, so that's what's going on with that. But as for us, we are ready to go, so I'm going to unmute myself and apologize unreservedly for having interrupted whoever it is that I interrupted. And then I'm going to unmute them, and last but certainly not least, head over to reveal to you the peoples of adventures in Middle Earth, the land of the world of Middle Earth, which, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a new series coming out that has had a minor bit of advertising associated with it, just a little bit. And so I just want to say that, since Amazon does own Twitch, if if you happen to have any money in the petty cash drawer that you'd like to send to the way of a certain top Middle Earth stream that exists on Twitch, I think it's pretty easy to say it is the top Middle Earth stream on Twitch. As far as role-playing is concerned, you know where to find us, and that's right here. I, for one, welcome our Amazon overlords, and with that said, I'm going to welcome the fine people of Erebor Adventures, the Andwanauts. I will start with the gentleman at the top left who's giving me his usual pained expression, which suggests he's going to give me something that shows it's not true, and that's Trent Sparks. Hi, Trent. How are you?
Very true.
Okay, well, what is it you were
the problem with your logic there is that happens anyway. Anybody who uses a Twitch Prime sub is basically giving you Jeff Bezos money.
True. That's true. Well, giving Jeff Bezos and me money at the same time, right? Isn't that, which means much more to me than it does to Jeff Bezos at this point, probably. I'm guessing, but that's true. How are you, Trent? How is life in the universe with you, and who are you playing today?
Sleepy, very, very sleepy. But I was hoping that the Polestar expedition of No Man's Sky would be active today. Apparently not, at least not yet.
Soon, TM.
Yeah. If we're doing two over here, why do we do it twice? That's like 4. Never mind. So I'm Trent Sparks. I'm a voice actor. Is that right? Is that what I do?
Last time I checked, yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad one of us is keeping up with it. And audiobook narrator, which is voice acting. I don't care what anybody says. And I am playing a very large bear of a man named Tawny Bear, but his full titled name, is that right? Whatever, is Thane Tawny Bear, the Hearthmender dwarf friend, who has recently used all of his hagweed, which is not as dude as it sounds, to give his friends advantage on their rolls against corruption for the next week. So, woo! We'll see how that goes. And he can't just stand around screaming, "It's a dream!" Anymore.
Because it isn't.
Because it isn't.
This part isn't actually.
A nightmare.
You wish it were a dream.
Yeah, that would be great. But I don't know. Which way are we going? Are we going to player not available?
Well, yeah, I'll deal with player not available quickly. Tari, she is. Tari is not here at the moment. We hope and assume that Tari will be joining us shortly, but is not here at the moment, and so at the moment she is player not available. But a person who is available is the gentleman right below this Trends picture, as you can see, the window there, and that, of course, is our good friend Brad Bollier. We had a very interesting discussion about, among all of us, about weighted blankets and eye masks. It's a long story.
And brother sticks.
And that's right, and brother sticks. That's true, and that you don't know what that context is, unless you've been at a panel where I was talking about storytelling in games. Anyway, but it's good to see Brad here. Brad and I are going to be seeing each other in person next week, actually, at the power of Gen Con compels us. So I'm looking forward to that. And Brad, how are you doing? And how's life in the universe and everything with you? And who are you playing today?
I'm doing well. Since we last spoke, I have finally finished my draft of my newest epic fantasy, Ill Winds Over Anchorus, a draconic-based epic that looks at empire and all its evils. And so I was kind of talking about like what a slog it was to get through the first draft, because it was a new world, new story, breaking new ground, that sort of thing. But I was like not dreading exactly, but I knew what a sort of a mountain of tasks I had created for myself, because just the way I write, a whole bunch of stuff becomes clear in the later writing of the book. And so like the first say half of the book was just really raw, and I knew it. I didn't realize how raw until I got there. I ended up rewriting just a ton of chapters since then. So I'm finally to the halfway point of the second draft. And so it's now reaching the point where the stuff that was coming out was fairly mature, because I kind of knew where the story was headed. So a lot of the heavy lifting is finally done. So I'm not coasting by any means, but I'm glad to have reached this point. It's starting to feel like an actual book instead of like a
Yeah.
collection of ideas and characters and places. Starting to create that connective tissue that really makes a story come alive and stuff. So I'm excited, and I'm excited for Gen Con coming up. Although I still have this low key like just nervousness because I just do not and have not gone out very much,
Yeah.
the past several years.
Yeah.
So I'm hiding out a little bit while I go there. I'm doing panels and seminars, but I'm going to be lying low a bit beyond that. So I am looking forward to it because it is my favorite con. Historically, it started in Kenosha where I grew up, just south of where I live now. Moved to Milwaukee, and so I kind of followed it to Indy, and so yeah, and just the gaming aspect is going to be a lot of fun. And so I am playing a treasure hunting hobbit named Bolabras Took, who has a now magical runic pan called Flankseer, who helps his companions heal and make yummy food. And we are looking forward to getting one step closer to a dragon.
That's right. We had a lot of callbacks in our Eberron session to the use of bacon grease in combat and the use of pans in particular situations. So we had a lot of that going on as we went through here. So, Chad, I have a quick question. Is volume, and I guess for the players, can everyone hear me okay? As normal? Okay. Because I feel
Every
like
time I connect to Zoom, the volume spikes and I have to turn everybody down.
Yeah, so I have
don't
to
ask me.
Okay, because Dragon was saying I was seemed a little bit lower than anybody, but I feel like I'm shouting in my own ear, and I think that's not right. So I want to make sure that it was okay. Okay. So good stuff, Brad. I am excited to see how Bola gets into things today. Last but certainly not least, of course, we have the wonderful Amal Elmatar with us, who is back from travels, back from far-flung lands in the place where, in a country where there is somewhat sensible politics, as long as you stay in that one part of the country and don't go to the other part of the United Kingdom, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sort of, as they say. How was the land of the Scots, Amal, and how are you and who are you playing today?
Yeah. Gosh, it was amazing. I'd been really, really dreading this trip. It was doing my first international travel since literally March of 2020 when we were last in Scotland, struggling to get back to Canada because all the airports had closed and various things. So this was Stu's first time seeing his family again since then, and my first time seeing a lot of people for many years as well, because there was also a conference on, a Once and Future Fantasies conference that was on at the University of Glasgow. So there were going to be basically lots of big, risky, behaviors. We're going to go through 3 airports. We went like Ottawa, Halifax, Glasgow. We got to Glasgow, and then like I went to a conference and stuff, and so I just kind of was dreading it all because I was like, great, do you have to kind of think of it as we're just committing to getting COVID now. We have, stopped. But at the same time, we masked the whole time we were anywhere. We got our 4th doses before going. And so far, knocking on wood, we're okay. And we got back on Friday. So as I was saying before we started, every big risk that we took felt like it started a countdown clock in my head. Like we have to count down to, 3 days, we're still feeling fine. 5 days, we're in the clear, and then kind of going on to the next thing. So since our last risky thing was being in the airport Friday, which we left at like 5-ish p.m., we're kind of looking towards, what is it? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, tomorrow at 5 p.m. And if we're still okay, then we'll be like, hooray, we got off scot free.
Yes, outstanding. A pun which deserves to be made twice, really.
Yeah. Well, the people in the chat didn't get to hear it the first time. Also,
no, I agree. I totally
it's
agree.
Stu's pun, which makes it doubly effective. He is the authentic Scot in this relationship. So just there you go.
No, it's true.
But yeah, it was pretty good. Anyway, so I'm playing a character called the River. She is now a Thane, River music wielder, and is very weirded out by this elevation of class. But she is a woodsman of Rosgobel. She's a fighty bard. She's a warden with heraldic expression, which means that she both sings and dual wields axes in battle with her faithful hound of Mirkwood named Stone, who is the goodest boy. Also, I wanted to say too, I have now had the experience of looking after a puppy for 2 weeks while my friends were away, and developed much insight into what kind of training Stone must have had to be the goodest boy and stuff, and it sure would have been intense.
This puppy did not have this training.
It was not maybe the good. Was the not as the goodest. Not as goodest.
Oh no, the puppy was wonderful. It's just that I'd never. My only experience of dog ownership in the past has been of outdoor working dogs. Mm-hmm. So a dog who lives in the house and which also has 3 elderly cats in it who do not like the dog.
And, now we get to it. Okay.
There are dynamics, but mostly it's just the amount of attention a puppy needs. Mm-hmm. And the amount of training in order to because this puppy is part of the same litter that my parents' dogs are part of. So, but they are outdoor dogs who are running around being a pack together. And this one is the sweetest, smartest little puppy, but he is in a suburb and needs to manage his relationship to other dogs and be taken on walks in a suburb, which is really kind of adversarially structured for dogs, which I didn't really realize was a thing, never having had to walk a dog and stuff. But something as simple as signs on the bins that say no animal waste anywhere. It's so what are you're literally supposed to just anyway. Also, organizing one's day around the digestion of a small creature is very confusing a lot of the time. So it's anyway, it was an experience, and I don't think that River would have had the same one because Stone definitely very outdoor dog, but she would have been sleeping in the hay with him and stuff when they were kids and various stuff. So I don't know.
I do have a question. And I'm sure that once I ask this question, you're going to understand exactly why, and that Tari will follow up with the same question for Lilimon. When is Stone going to become a Thane?
What?
When is Stone going to become a Thane? Almost all the rest of us are.
Yeah. A Thane. Okay, so I heard you say, when is Stone going to become a thing? And I was like,
he's already a thing.
He's a he's a person.
Right.
He has a personality, but I don't know. It felt like a loaded question. I feel like Stone shares River's Thaneness by proxy. I like the idea that in his retirement he might have a little gold chain of Thanehood.
Thane Stone for a wielder.
Yes. Yeah, no, Fang Wielder.
Fang Wielder, definitely.
Fang Wielder, yes. Wielder of the bark.
Yes.
Wielder of the bark. Or order. It should be Order of the Bark or something.
Yes.
His
bite is worse than his bark because he's a very quiet dog.
That's true. Actually, we don't talk much about Stone. I mean, he does a little bit of whimpering and so forth, but doesn't necessarily do a lot of howling or barking per se.
He growls intimidatingly.
That he does. Yes.
But otherwise, he's very good at keeping quiet.
He's got a very good target to growl at right now.
That's true.
He sure does.
That's true,
Oh,
and that's
boy.
a good segue for
What a
us
great segue
into what we're
Well
doing this
done.
evening. So let's talk a little bit about that. In our last session, which was a little over a month ago, believe it or not, chat, but in our last session, we continued to follow, the adventures of the Andronauts as they passed across the waste. They have been sent by King Dane to essentially slay a dragon who has become a threat to the free peoples. And what's worse is that it's probably the case that it is the same dragon that they already met and kind of semi-made a deal with in the past with Raynor, this drake. Except that now, apparently, Raynor has also gained the power to breathe deadly breath in addition to its other strengths that it already possessed. And so there are a lot of reasons that this is a problem, and one of the problems is that even getting to Raynor has been difficult. The party has had to try to maintain a kind of cover for itself so that they don't announce with big trumpets and horns, "We're coming to get you, dragon." And that's been difficult because as they've been going along, they have had on occasionally betrayal and situations of different circumstances where they've had people try to stab them in the back or, in the last case, burn a house down on their head. Not that that was really the point, but it ended up almost semi-happening. And so the party has made their way through and now has begun to cross the waste. But in this last session, the party actually, while crossing through the waste, encountered a strange creature, one which they had actually encountered before. And it was, as I pull out my images,
Featherwinger.
Here for a second. Yes, exactly. Featherwinger. No, that's not at all right. It is in fact Witherfinger, which is right here. Witherfinger, a strange tree-like creature that was just there as a tree and in fact did not speak to them in normal terms. They essentially were brought over to the tree. They saw the tree, went over there. It sort of stood out as one of the few growing green things in the waste and ended up basically taking a nap, I believe, starting with the river, if I'm not mistaken. And each of them were given a dream, sometimes a prophecy of the future or something that was likely to happen sooner rather than later. The only one who did not do this was Tawny, who was keeping watch, but Tawny had the chance to see the tree reacting. Tawny, in fact, was not wild about this whole idea, basically was like, "I think this is dangerous," but they went and had this dream of prophecy before Witherfinger disappeared. But the last dream that I want to highlight here is the one that the river had, in which she was confronted with this terribly scarred and burned orc. And in the dream, the creature said that it would help, and there was danger ahead, and only it could help, even though it should be seen, normally would be seen as an enemy. It would help them out of hatred for something else. And when the river woke from her dream, what they discovered as a party was indeed this creature had arrived, this strange, loping sort of figure that came upon them, and that looks the way that you just see right now, who describes himself as Ukgash, the burnt orc. And at the very end of our last session, the burnt orc said that you have come to kill the dragon. He wanted to see the dragon Ted too, and that they have common cause, you and I. And with that dun 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 moment, we brought the session to a close. And so as we now begin things again, we will start more or less where we left off. The party is standing underneath what used to be, or next to what used to be, the tree Witherfinger. Witherfinger is now gone. And Tawny, Bolo, Inga, and the river are facing this very large, slightly stooped, and terribly burned orc, which has just made this offer. And it kind of...
Quick question before we get started. Since Tari isn't here, can we actually get a recap of like everyone's dream? Because I'm assuming that because what I remember is I think it was Tari who got the information about what's his name, shield guy.
Oh yes, that there was that perhaps was sort of had a vision, I believe, that these two other dwarves that had perhaps dumped the body of Elston into a ditch.
That's the one.
And that suggests that perhaps Lord Elston is not yet dead. And I have to say that I don't recall, Bolo, exactly what the dream was that you had off the top of my head. I need to look into it again. I think it might have been related to the dragon. But I think it was related to the dragon and specifically the gold, because we were thinking about the amount of gold that the dragon might possess, and that dream was related a little bit to the thoughts you had of Bilbo, his description of the Horde of Smaug and things like that. I think it was related to that. I'll have to go back and double check. But yes, Inga's dream was about that, relating to Lord Elston. Now, again, it is a dream. However, the fact that you have just woken up and seen this creature that was in your dream appear suggests that maybe this was less a dream and more of a strange kind of prophecy or information that Witherfinger was communicating.
I also feel like there was something in what Witherfinger said to River that suggested something about Lord Elston, but only just like that Inga got the full information, but there was some vague reference to it, or your companions have, I don't know.
That's right. That your companions will have heard different things, and also that there was some betrayal that happened. And the betrayal was used both in terms of what happened to Elston. Some of that you already knew because you found out that the mercenary dwarves had betrayed him. And then the other thing was, thank you, Red Lear, very much for the tier 2 sub. Hello, people of the internet. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So yeah, not only that, but also the fact that there might have been betrayal associated with this. And what was confusing was it wasn't 100% clear if the reference was that this orc is attempting to betray you. That wasn't exactly what was stated. Rather, maybe that there is just a risk or a danger. And Witherfinger also made clear that anytime you were in the waste, that sort of thing happens, right? Like when you were in the waste, it is hard to tell friend from foe, I believe is one of the things that she said as well.
Yes. So, what I think just had happened is that just as the orc was saying his name, River said his name at the same time,
yes,
having heard it in the dream.
Yes, that's right.
And so River quickly says to everyone else before anyone can get too freaked out by this, hopefully, especially Inga. In fact, she'll put out a hand on Inga instinctively,
okay,
before she hefts her weapon or anything, to say, I think she'll actually say this sort of to him for the benefit of everyone else.
Okay.
I saw you in a dream, and it seems like we might have common cause to make.
And he nods slowly. Yes, the waste provides such dreams, and I have wandered it now for many days. You know then that I speak the truth, and that together we can find our way to bring my hatred home to the worm and to his allies. They have grown now very strong.
Who are his allies?
Hagelash, that foul beast. He who rules the tribe of orcs from which I was cast out. Hagelash has allied with the worm, and the worm will consume him whole, but not if I run him through first. Soon I will see him spit it on my blade. But until then, I am a wanderer, as are you. You cannot hope to find your way. Already the smokes rise from the mountains. And he kind of points back behind him. And you may remember I mentioned the fact that there is, in fact, this gathering smoke that has been coming up from where the mountain was. And he says, the dragon's slumber lessens, and soon he will come forth and find those in the waste and eat them alive. Every time he speaks, you can see his skin sort of bending and stretching in horrible ways, and he kind of bends over, and you can almost see him wincing, and maybe it's pain every time he speaks, but his muscles on his arms also ripple with this kind of wiry strength, and he looks very much as if he's always on the edge of pouncing. That's it.
Stone is I think like in that kind of like low,
Yeah.
not quite growl way. And River puts like a
Right.
hand on his raised hackles as well.
It's like a level 2 warning, right? Like just a
Yeah,
low
yeah,
level. It's
yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah, and I think Tawny is probably closest to this guy, right? Like,
maybe he's up
Tawny
on...
was watching him
Yes.
when he was way off in the thing. So Tawny was.
Oh, okay, no, you're right. He's probably actually coming from the up. So like if Tawny is here, there's like there's like a depression that they went
Correct,
into.
and then the trees in the middle, or was in the middle
Right.
of that, right? And
Right,
he is
so-
he's still like kind of a little bit up because he's in a position presumably where he could like lope away if attacked. Like he definitely didn't just
Yeah.
walk up to you like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
So
Well, so basically, like River hears this information, and she looks to her companions to see how they are receiving it before continuing.
Tawny's just staring, not quite daggers, butter knives maybe, but just he's probably about the same level of threat as Stone right now. He's just watching. You can see that there's like a question he's waiting to ask, but he hasn't gotten there yet.
okay.
Yeah, similar from Bolo, I guess. And I'm kind of keeping an eye on the landscape, remembering the weirdness of the rocks and stuff that we had seen, and the smoke now and stuff.
Yep.
I'm just a little bit worried that this guy might not be alone. He might be lying, that sort of thing. So just keeping an eye out beyond him.
And so he just kind of, hovers at the edge of the depression, kind of looking down.
River says, "We've heard your words. We must now confer together before we take any action." And she'll beckon Tawny over to the group so that they can talk, because she wants to ask everyone what if they all dreamt the same dream or not, and stuff like that.
As you do that, by the way, he kind of settles down into a crouch and just hands on top of his knees, just waiting.
Gargoyle-like.
Yes, very much that way. And in fact, Bolo, when you look up just at the, the way, because he's at the top of the depression, you have this odd experience of just seeing him silhouetted against the gray sky.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
River will wait for everyone to like huddle in.
Yeah, come in.
Yeah. He'll keep facing towards the guy, but he moves over to the group.
River she like leans forward and whispers to them and says, "Did you all not Tawny, did you all dream the same dream? Did you all see him, or was it just me?"
Now Bolo will describe his dream of the hoard and the gold, I guess. I don't remember all the details from the dream, but maybe that actually translates to Bolo, the character, because it might be fading quickly, now that he's returned to the world, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit fuzzy. I can't remember it all, but that's what I recall a little bit. Definitely not the same dream.
River says, "Witherfinger said that our best hope of making it through the waste was to ally with this creature. She named him
This creature?
Yes, she spoke his name. She described him, and here he is. And I know she has strange ways of knowing things, and I'm just going to assume that Inga is also going to describe her dream of Lord Elston, so that we can have that on the table and stuff. Because on hearing that information, River would say, if Lord Elston is alive, we should absolutely find him first. And perhaps this creature stops herself from saying creature over and over again and says, Ukgar. That is his name?
His name is Ukgash. By the way, just one quick clarification. Said that you may feel the need to ally with them, but was very, very careful not to specify, like, do this or you won't ever get to the dragon. Like, just use the example of may need to ally with those you would otherwise be opposed to, or something along those lines. Just letting you know, so you don't feel like Witherfinger's like,
It's
do this or
stronger,
doom,
but
you know, type of thing.
Right. Fair enough.
Just quick question: Is Witherfinger gone? I can't remember what happened to her.
Witherfinger. Witherfinger.
When we woke up, she was gone.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Tani was kind of like, like as well, because of course Tani was awake the whole time, but the tree almost melted away. He was looking away, look back, and the thing was gone. Yeah.
Are there any tree-shaped rocks around?
Did you say tree-shaped rocks?
Yeah, she hunkered down, pretending to be a rock.
Exactly. I am now. Yeah, no. She's cosplaying as Utkarsh. No, that's not the case.
That's hilarious. That would be so funny, but no. So sorry, River will amend what she said accordingly to be like, but Witherfinger knew that he was here, that he would ask this, and I'm not saying that we need to trust him. I fully expect that he might lead us to the dragon only to feed us to it. But navigating the waste with any kind of guide might mean that we're in better shape to fight the dragon when we meet him. But also, I'm remembering Inga had like a specific like geographical feature to do with Lord Elston and where he was, right? And she says if we can ask him to take us towards Lord Elston first, we might stand a better chance altogether of both weathering whatever betrayal he makes and also accomplish our goal.
And potentially saving him. If he lives.
If he lives. But we have to try. I had the thought of him having survived all of that. I think we owe it to him to try. Do we have his shield? I can't remember.
No, I thought they carried him out on it.
Yeah, I don't think you have it yet. Although I'm trying to remember though if
I thought his shield was still behind. Like I thought the group at the
Yes, that's right. You're carrying it, and we talked about the fact that you couldn't really use it combat wise without sort of, so it's like slung at your back at the moment.
Right.
And it's like twice the size of Bolo, so not effective
we can
use for
it
Bolo.
To carry stuff in the waist. We're just like dragging it behind us or something.
Sure. In D&D, it'll be like Tensor's floating disc, except this is not floating. You drag it along, and it doesn't help you with weight at all.
-15 to stealth.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
The feature, the land feature or whatever that was supposed to give us a clue where Lord Elston was, is that readily visible to us where we stand?
Not from where you are, no. But I mean, you're aware of it, which is the idea of this hole that he might have been at the bottom of, but it's not visible from here.
So Bolo says, Utkarsh seems to know the ways by his own admission. Could we not ask him, as a show of faith, to lead us to this hole, perhaps, to help Lord Elston, and then go and try to help him gain his revenge, if that's what he needs?
That's literally what River was suggesting.
Okay. Well, I agree. We could try that.
Mm-hmm.
Inga seems strangely thoughtful, strokes her beard.
She's staring off to the south, thinking about Lilimon alone in that stable.
Exactly.
River looks to Tawny.
Yeah.
And says, "You look like you want to ask him a question."
Oh, I do. 2 of them, actually.
I think you should.
And Tawny will look back up towards him and be,
he's still,
this, was this done by the worm?
And what are you indicating? Sorry.
The burns.
Oh, okay. And he sort of nods slowly, and he says, "Yes, I quarreled with Aglash, I am an orc, not a servant of worms. And Aglash argued back that we had to submit to his will. I argued with him and would have cast him down until the worm himself appeared and burned me and my companions. I fled into the waste, and my vengeance has sustained me. I will not rest until it is visited upon him, and upon Aglash, the cowardly stain of the earth.
The worm's name Raynar.
Yes, that is his name. Cursed be.
River just drops her head and a kind of it's hard to say. It's not quite disappointment, but it is a kind of weird sorrow. Like, she is both mad and disappointed. But anyway,
and so Ogash sort of sees you in that reaction. He says, "The dragon has betrayed many. I was the chieftain of my tribe until Aglash offered our tribute to the dragon. And when he overthrew me, he stabbed me in the back, as you see. But I am stronger than him. And unlike him, I will ally with any that help me get my revenge upon the dragon, and on his beating heart, which I will tear from his body."
And what happens then? After that?
After is a blank. I will take over my tribe again, at least, and I would draw them back from the mountains. We are not meant to be here, but all of that pales before vengeance against Hagash and the worm.
River says, "You've been betrayed by your people and by this worm, but we are on a mission to keep a promise to Raynor. For we've encountered him before, and when we did, we promised him that if ever he should come any closer to the lands of our people, that we would deal with him as we dealt with all worms. So we are on our way to keep a promise. If we're to ally with each other, we would want to make a similar pact with you. If we do restore you to your people, and we do help you defeat Raynor, you must leave our lands in peace, for as long as you are chieftain of your tribe."
And you can see he kind of breathes kind of deeply while regarding you. His one good eye kind of open and then closes again. And I will swear an oath, but you must swear 3 in the name of whatever powers you honor. I swear in the name of the Dark Lord, Sauron in the land of Mordor, that I will do as you say. But you must swear to me. Now, when he says Sauron, not swear to me as in Batman, swear to me. When he says Sauron, there is a moment where you all feel just the slightest chill at the sound of his name. And
I felt it. Yeah. I was like, no, this is bad. I hate this.
He says, that's absolutely, no, I get it. And he says, first, that you will do Gosh no harm while we are in the waste. Second, that you will slay the worm and Haglash too, but not attack the rest of my tribe, unless the fools throw themselves upon your blades, in which case I will not gainsay you the kill. And finally, that I get a fair share of the hoard to give to my people, and then I and my people will depart and not return, if you swear these oaths. I have spoken.
This is the way.
Why are you stealing from the Mandalorian?
Hey, you said I have spoken. You said I have spoken.
I know. It's true. Queel is so much better a person than this guy. Yeah.
River looks slightly impressed by the extremely by the fairness of these terms, essentially.
With the name Sauron echoing, of course.
Yeah. The cognitive dissonance is enormous.
In the name of the Dark Lord, I swear.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Genuinely, when he says the words "in the name of the Dark Lord, I swear," it's like a bad thing is happening here.
She probably reaches over and grabs hold of Tawny's staff as well, like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Well, she's gonna swear by Elbereth and kill Thoniel. Then I suppose that's fair enough. So hearing these things, River thinks that they are quite fair terms, and this is on her face as she looks at Inga in particular, who sadly is absent because obviously being in a position to not kill orcs and or to ally with orcs against potentially her own people who have demonstrated the brothers Coldrum who remain somewhere in the waste.
Beardless.
Sure would be awful. So I just want to signal and highlight those things which River is keenly aware of.
Grips her axe, stares away into the distance.
Yeah.
I also think she would probably have a similar thought to what's going through Tawny's mind is who gets to define what is a fair share of the thing. It's like
we might want to define that now.
Yeah.
One for you, one for me. Two for you, one.
Yeah. I mean, so I think especially because they know that they're not the only people hunting the dragon. I wonder, can we do some quick math in our head and arrive at 1/14th or something? Let me think about this. It's Lord Elston, something in Scrafira. There's two. Our party.
Greystroke or something?
Yeah.
Greystroke?
Greystroke and Scrafira. That's right. So anyways, our party is 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably we are but we're representing Bard and Dine, right? So
there's a Raven, there's Liliman.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
They each get a percentage of yeah.
Well, while they're considering, I'm trying to recollect, Bolo is, if anybody, including Lutgash, has said the name of this dragon.
Yes, no, we asked and confirmed that it is in fact Raynor.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our Terror of the North.
And that we are keeping a promise to Raynor to come back and mess him up. Because we promised that the last time that we saw him. So, River, looking around, to see if anyone's going to contradict her on this, but River looks at Upgash and says, "Your terms are fair in spirit. There are details I would want to be clear about before we embark on this together. One of them is that I agree that you would deserve, you and your tribe, a fair share of the Horde. But the Horde has not been on our minds at all during this quest, and we represent others who how can I put this? What would you consider a fair share? How would you want to do that? Let us be clear about this.
Well, there's this beautiful harp. Fuck you!
we claim only the harp of the bard who... No.
That would be so amazing.
Playing 2 axes in the air.
Oh my god.
It wouldn't even get the sentence done, right?
Right.
Well, this harp just like falls to the ground.
You know, the funniest thing to me is that, like, I forgot to mention this earlier. I finally, it has taken so long, I can't even stand it, dropped my big harp off at the shop yesterday because it needs a lot of maintenance.
Oh.
And I probably won't see it again until the end of September because the way that, like, the degree of care that it needs probably like a full restringing and then regulation, and you can't do the regulation part, which involves like rebalancing the tension on the board and stuff, until it has had its current set of strings for 3 weeks. So the guy's gonna like restring the harp, wait 3 weeks, but then is going off on holiday for like a month and is going to be totally off grid during that time. So end of September is like the conservative estimate for me to have it back. And in the meantime, I'm just like, that's funny. I don't know, just having a lost harp that we're requesting to just feels very funny. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
There was a brief moment of panic for me when you said I dropped my harp, and I was like,
no!
When you got to the word off, I'm like, oh, thank God.
I had been partly dreading it because this is a big harp. This is like my 36 string like Lion and Healy Troubadour, and I had been partly dreading it just because getting it into the car was like this giant ball of dread in my head. But then it was super easy, it turned out. Like, I just did it, dropped it off, it was done. I had been putting this off for so long, I can like take it off in my bujo now. I'm sorry to be wrecking the momentum here.
No, it's totally fine. I get it. I had my trumpet restored a couple of years ago, and that was not as long a process, but still was a couple of weeks because it was, I mean, I've had it for 30 years. So, yeah. I mean, and I mean, it had been, 25 since it had gotten more than just the regular maintenance. I kept pretty good care of it, but still, yeah. I get it.
This harp at just about 20 years, I think, that I've had it. So, like, it's, and it hasn't, I don't want to think about how long it's been since it's had maintenance. So anyway, but so there was a pandemic. Things have been hard. So anyway,
so yeah. So you asked him about the treasure, and he and so he kind of that will partly depend upon the number of my tribe that remain. I lay the greatest claim to our share, but if there are, and he clearly does not count the dog. So when he's, he kind of like looks at all of you and he's like, if there are 5 of us, then we would ask 1/5 share, for my tribe has many orcs within it. And once they serve me, and they will serve me, then they will have done extra work in defeating this creature and will put their lives at risk as well as yours. Therefore, I would ask 1/5 of the Horde.
I would suggest putting it like this, because I know that we are not the only ones who are pursuing this worm. If, when the battle is enjoined, there are more of us fighting this dragon, shall we agree that you and your tribe will have some in text way of saying X percentage of how many people actually take it down?
It's a regressive tax you're asking. So Yes. He more or less agrees to that, although there is a part of me that is thinking about, do you agree to this amount? I just had his image of like doing math in his head as he's trying to calculate how much of, each percentage would actually work through. And,
Getting angrier by each moment.
yeah. It's like,
That's what would happen to me.
this is worse than a home equity loan. So
we had talked about compound interest yet. Let me. Can I interest you in some horde futures? As
Exactly.
It were?
Perhaps if you were to use the blockchain, it would. And then you knew that he was a deceiver.
Dark Lord, Dark
yeah,
Lord,
exactly,
God,
exactly.
no,
I'm just saying.
all bets are off.
Sauron believes
Shoot
in
him,
believes in Orcoin, and
No.
I've been struggling to resist mentioning. Is there a chain? Did you see a chain?
Did you see a chain?
while you were there?
different kind of chain, no, but
Right,
but
and
yes, yes.
I don't remember what happened to the chain. So I think it was still there, wasn't it?
Yeah, because the chain, as I recall, was used.
No, he destroyed it.
I don't
Raynor
remember.
destroyed the chain.
I don't remember if you just. I thought that you didn't you use it to imprison the Gibbet King? I thought that it was used
No.
partly to hold. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I
then.
thought we had said that only dragon fire or like a volcano
He
could
melted
melt it.
with his
Oh, that's
acid
right.
breath.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
Raynor was able to. That's right. He was able to use. And it wasn't fire because at the time he didn't have his fire with
Right.
him.
Acidic.
But it was his acidic breath. Yeah, that he was
Okay.
able to use to melt it. That's right. Yeah.
That was the thing. It was like that was what we did. Was we warned him that they had
Yeah.
this chain
They had-
that
right.
was going to imprison him.
That's right, and that's what he did
And-
with it. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I
so
remember.
it
There-
is gone.
There is a potential where you could have theoretically imprisoned the Gibbet King in the chain, but that would have been complicated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
so yeah,
Good to know in the past. Anyway,
in case you find another chain that happens to be like that, and another Gibbet King.
River says, then these terms are fair provided you maintain your side of this bargain. And there is one more thing.
What is it?
Before we go to seek the dragon, we've received word of an ally of ours who is grievously injured in a place not far from here. If you can lead us to him, then we will be allies in truth. And we will fight the worm together.
I have not seen another such as you speak, and I am not a scout to wander through the waste. I know the way to the dragon, but I do not know of this ally you speak of. Was he slain by the dragon? You should say, sorry, by the worm, is what he would say.
No, but he was one of those who would fight the worm with us. And she describes the feature of the place that he was last seen.
And so Utgash kind of nods slowly and says, "It is possible. There are several places of which you speak, of which are nearby, which may be what you seek. But I would warn you, the place near where you describe is an ancient place. Its hold on those who pass by is very strong. If your friend is found in the place beyond it, you will need to resist the place before we reach where his body is. You would do well to abandon him and pursue your course. Your compassion will not help you here." He kind of groans, it kind of...
I think our compassion is how we have been resisting the pull of the waste so far.
As if you have resisted it. But be as you will, I will accompany you to this place. But if there are dangers which you encounter, know that I have warned you. Utgash has told you what you must know.
Thank you for this wisdom. And And she kind of strides forward towards him, and
he kind of stands up slightly as if ready.
And she looks him in the eye, and she extends a hand and says, "Gosh, I don't know. Who does
Put it there, pal."
It's like, I'm literally going, who does she swear by? Like, Elbereth sort of makes sense in that she invokes Elbereth periodically. Elbereth also isn't a god or like a lord or anything. Like, weird question of like religious faith in a world with literal gods and wizards. But anyway, I think she'll say, I swear by the light that shines in all darkness, that we will, that by the terms that we've agreed to.
When you say the light that shines in all darkness, he goes, and he kind of winces slightly, and you see his head kind of.
Now you know how it feels.
You know, yeah. And he slowly turns back and he says, "Your cursed light, if it will bind you, then I will accept this." This reminds me a little bit, by the way, since Trey mentioned The Mandalorian. There's a sequence in the book of Boba Fett where Boba Fett strikes this deal with a bunch of these like pretty shady dudes, and one of them is like, "I abide," and that's I have this image of like this guy being like, "I do that." I'm not going to actually say I abide, but it's that sort of image where he's like, "Very well," and so he stretches out his forearm, and it is the
Jerky.
burned one. Yeah, it's the burned one, burned and twisted. And you can see the sort of at the end of his arm, his hand burned and almost clutched already in a claw-like shape, sort of grasps your forearm. And
Monkey
when
paw.
Say again,
Little monkey paw.
little monkey paw, exactly. Yeah. What is that? Is that yours, Trent? Is that
Remember, it's trash day. So.
I know. I just had this image of you doing.
On a video.
Yeah. I had this image of you doing this while the trash behind you is like emptying out stuff like in the waste. Like beep, beep.
Yeah, the truck, apparently something's wrong with the hydraulic arm, so it's like
yeah, it's just like so anyway, when the forearm grasps yours, River, you feel just a slight almost a burning or a twisting, not that your arm is horribly mangled, but you can feel it on the edge of it. I need you to make a corruption saving throw for me, River. You have willingly clasped arms with a servant of the enemy, albeit for very good and legitimate and understandable reasons.
Right. Cool. All right. Say corruption saving throw. Am I doing this at advantage? Because
with the hag's weed, yeah, I think so. Wait a minute. Let me pause on that. Tren for the hagweed. River has to do a corruption check because of basically agreeing to the and shaking hands or forearms. Does the hagweed affect that too, or just the in the waste stuff?
All checks against corruption.
Against corruption. Okay. All right. Well then, there you go.
Allah.
So yes, at advantage.
Okay. Is this also? So this is a saving throw.
Yes.
Corruption.
He said for a moment, looking. Yes. Yes.
So because she carries runes of victory, she also has a +1 to saving throws, and crits on 20 and 1.
The 20 and 1 crit would be for combat, though. I don't think runes of victory would be a crit on a saving throw.
Yeah, I mean critting isn't.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but so +1 to saving throws. Here we go. So that is that was a 19.
It's a lot better than the 13 that you would have had from the other one. Yes. So you do this and you kind of you ward off the sense of shadow that crosses over you. And then
I'm imagining that as she says, as she makes her own vow, there's this kind of burning white light inside of her that is just kind of like holding fast against these tendrils of like twisty shadow and stuff. And
Yep.
She is genuinely doing this not only to help other people, but out of a belief that people are not essentially evil. But I mean, the world sort of makes it that way. But anyway. So.
Yeah, this is definitely complicated across these areas. Okay. So I am going to, so you do that, and he stands up after having, I guess he had already stood when you came close, and then he takes a step back and he says, "We travel soon, follow." And he turns and kind of walks off out of the depression. Now, the time that you encountered Witherfinger, I want to say was, I'm trying to remember if I put it at the dusk or not, as to when you found Witherfinger, if it was in the middle of the grayish day. Because the waste is always in the grayish day, it means that normally an orc would not want to be traveling during the day, but because it's always kind of darkish, that's fine. And so you come off like basically together. So assuming you all follow, then all of you would come up, and Inga sort of thoughtfully following behind, as you head off in the direction of Okagash. Go ahead, Trent. You were going to say. Go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say I'm also really glad that the river kind of, made that deal for all of us, because I don't think there's a chance in hell that Inga would have shaken hands with that orc.
No.
She'd have soon taken his hand off.
Yep.
Then she would have shaken it.
I think that's right.
No.
Agreed.
So you travel for a good 5 or 6 hours with only 1 or 2 very short pauses. Utgash moves with his kind of loping gait at a great pace across the waste. And as he does that, you can see that he takes kind of a... Let me get rid of his picture for a minute.
Every time you say that he's loping, I hear, "I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee." I just have this.
How dare you? Let's see. Okay. That's why. Because I was looking for this. And where am I? Is that okay? And then the aim. Sorry, I've got my new Stream Deck is set up differently, so I have to find the thing that we've got there.
That's okay. We still love you.
Okay. Okay, right. Yes, indeed. Okay. So as you were proceeding across, you noticed that, oh gosh, and I guess I should have actually taken his token already and added it differently, but I did not do that. So for now, I will use simply, that's not bad actually. And I will have him set off with you. So he goes somewhat this way, but you notice that instead of kind of curving around, he ends up going much more straight, as if he's kind of cutting off a portion of your movement. And every so often, he stops as he's loping along and turns around, with his burned face sort of half visible, and just sort of glares at you with his good eye until you close the gap, and then he turns around and sets off again. Says essentially nothing to you other than just to kind of, make his way across. And in the evening, probably at about, I would say, shortly before the light fades completely, you notice as you're going along, and I guess this would be Bolo who would notice this first. Bolo, you notice that it's been getting darker, of course, as you go along, because heading towards nighttime, but you notice suddenly that it's gotten quite dark quite quickly. And as you look, you can see that coming from the mountain, or at least from the mountains coming from that area, is this huge wall of what looks like ash and dust that's just blowing towards you. And it is coming at an enormous pace, like just, like zooming in, and is completely obscuring as it heads across the waste. And Utgash sort of looks back at you and sort of waves something at you. It's not clear whether he's saying to come closer or to go away or to get down on the ground or something, but he gestures something at you, and then he's swallowed up by the storm as it's heading towards you. Coming incredibly fast.
Signals here.
Yeah. Bolo's the first one to see this, so Bolo's going to be able to react to this first.
Yeah, I don't know where I am among the group, but I'm going to immediately.
I assume out front as the scout. That's what I was assuming.
Yeah, okay. I'll turn and say, "Find cover," and I'll look myself for cover. I don't know what's around us right at the moment.
Not going to be easy.
I was going to say a whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of scrub brush. There are a couple of options. You could try to maybe like dig a hole. You could try to sort of throw yourself down behind. There are a couple of very small, not tiny pebbles, but like smallish rocks and stones that you could try to like build up a small little wall. Well, but you have a matter of a minute before it's on top of you, probably.
I will though. Huddle quickly. A terrible storm is coming.
Yeah, I think that once they see it, like River is going to take her cloak and just kind of like fling it over herself and Stone and hunker down. And we all have cloaks, right?
Yeah, I believe you should.
So to get down flat and like even try to dig a small depression for their like faces essentially to hide inside.
Okay.
Not blinded.
What I will need from all of you then is an intelligence saving throw, please, as this storm sweeps over you, not swoops. The dragon swoops over you, and then
oh shit!
Wow, you just rise above the storm. You're just kind of like, this storm is not a problem.
Incredible.
Good God.
What I was going to say is that
saving throw?
being the
saving throw, yeah.
Being the largest, is that Tawny would probably kind of use himself as a bit of a bulwark against but he was going to do the same thing.
Okay.
Putting his cloak over and trying to use his pack as well.
You've seen Tren. You saw the Kenobi. You've seen Kenobi now at all?
Christ.
Have you seen Kenobi?
Yes. It's a crit.
Okay, so the Inquisitor with the lightsaber. Yeah. I just have your staff doing. As you're just like spinning it around. So
sorry, that's not a crit because it's I forgot it's not combat, but also it's +1, so it's a 2 instead of a 9.
2. All right, so
River's now flying through the air.
That's right. I do keep thinking that, like, I don't know. I know that it says like +1 to saving throws and critical hits on 20 and 1. But
no, not
battle.
Yeah, that's right. But I do need that. I noted. I do need you to roll also for Stone, just to make an intelligence. I guess it would be check would be the equivalent for him. And if someone, I don't know if you want to do this, Trent, or someone would be so kind.
I don't have access to her.
Oh,
I do.
Yeah, so if you could roll the save for Inga, that would be great. Thank you, Mel.
That's not me.
Okay, well, so Stone is why is this so out of the way? So,
16.
Yeah,
okay.
He actually critted because it's 20 minus 4.
Oh, okay.
So he did get a nat 20.
So he's just like instantaneously understands. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see what Inga gets.
Intelligence, and that's a 17.
Okay. So it looks like everyone did pretty well except for the River.
Listen, if this is a commentary on the fact that she's just blithely allied with an orc, I rebuke it.
Guys, follow the narrative.
So you are struck. So you are all struck by this choking dust storm, and all of you sort of hunker down in various places. River, you're using your cloak. But it is difficult, and there is a moment where you're like, pushing back against the wind. And it's important to note, I think, that this dust storm, now there are often dust storms that happen on large flat areas without a lot of trees. That's kind of the reason we have sandstorms and the equivalent. But in this case, this feels almost, and perhaps it's just your imagination, but it feels to everyone almost preternaturally scent, like as if there's some sense that this is stronger than it would be normally, as if it's being thrown at you somehow. Bolo, you manage to kind of hunker down behind Tani, who stands strong, although maybe with his back to the storm, possibly. Stone comes over and does the same, and Inga is, standing, thoughtfully staring into the dirt and that piles up around her.
Can I actually suggest for River that, I don't know, her terrible roll is partly so that Stone could have a good roll?
I think quite possibly.
Slightly better about it.
I think that's quite possible. And after a few minutes, what ends up happening is that you are you're trying to find your way through. And when the storm clears, and it almost feels like the entire wall eventually just passes beyond you, and just keeps going on its way, basically. And when you look up, your companions are nowhere to be found, River. The only one who is near you, you hear, "Apparently they are where they remained, maybe buried or not." And when you turn, you can see, not right on top of you, but you can see Utgash standing there, sort of his arms low, kind of bent over, and "The storms come quickly. Now your companions have been lost." And Stone is not there either, by the way. All of them are together except you.
No.
Did River see Utgash making a gesture?
Probably not, because it would have been something which Bolo saw, and probably when you heard Bolo find cover, you couldn't find it fast enough, is the way I imagine it. And so Utgash says, "I can trace my way to the dragon, though there would only be 2 of us. Your friends may already be lost."
River is not having this at all.
Right.
She's unhurt, right?
No, not hurt.
She's
yeah.
coughing. She I'm imagining she kind of coughs and looks around, and sees the. So, does it look like they're in the same place that they were when the storm came? It's just that it's the same place minus everyone else?
The problem, meaning you and Utgash.
Yeah.
Yes, but the problem is that when you look around, the land has become, if possible, even more featureless than before, because it's covered by this thick blanket of ash. So now it just looks like,
not
the waste.
Not the ash that you like.
Yeah, thick blanket of your different ash. That would be thick blanket of many ashes.
Oh God, there's a horrible joke I want to make. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it on stream. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, so yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Anyway, but no, so River narrows her eyes at Utgash and is it what? She's at first she's confused. She's and baffled at what's happening, what's happened. And then Utgash is there and she is taken aback. But when he says your friends are already lost, she just narrows her eyes and becomes incandescent and just says, no, that's not possible. And she's going to God. She's going to I think put her fingers in her mouth and just whistle in a way specific to Stone, and see what happens.
Okay. Meanwhile, back at the rest of the group, Tani, you and Bolo and Inga and Stone, and I suppose Freaky as well, have all basically at this point kind of cleaned off your fur / tunic / armor, whatever the case may be, / pan, and are sort of looking around yourself and realize that you see no sign either of Utgash or of the river. And again, I mentioned this featureless landscape that you're all in.
I look for tracks. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, you fail immediately. You pre-fail is how we call that.
You fail your previous 5 rolls.
Yeah, exactly. Although joking aside, it is possible that maybe the guide could try to do some looking, but there's definitely not any. It's going to take a while because there's definitely not anything obvious on top.
Yeah. Well,
I could have Inga make that roll if you wanted.
Yeah, that's up to all y'all want to do.
Yeah. I'll certainly call. Kind of call around it a little bit.
Yeah, your voice kind of dies. It feels like as if the ash has sort of added this almost like curtain within which the sound falls.
Could we have Frankie? Is that the Raven?
Mm-hmm.
I know he helped me scout at one point. Could we send him skyward and give him an instruction to look for people?
I think that's possible. Yes, I think that's possible.
Bola will suggest that to Inga. I guess.
Inga's like, perhaps, thoughtfully looking off.
Let me ponder that for an hour or two.
What was that to Inga?
Just to ask her to send Frankie up to look for.
Yep.
Right. So definitely didn't make an
no,
joke.
No, not at all. Not in the least.
Inga. So can I have Inga make a perception check herself as well as send Frankie up into the air to?
Sure. Actually, this would probably be. I would say this would be survival. Actually, would be what we're looking for. Survival, and I don't think now she has a thing where she's able to get advantage, but that's in known lands, and the waste is not part of it. So yeah.
So.
Although when you did that was food. I was going to say when you did your embarkation roll, I know you did pretty well, but I think that was food, Bolo, that affected your serving food to people, not related to like these checks. So.
Oh yeah, no, I think that we were supposed to get a bonus to all ability checks.
Wasn't it Tani's cakes or something like
that?
That's
her corruption checks. For the hagweed, and then the embarkation roll.
We made that meal before we left. That like from the stuff that we had at the place, they gave us something for
that's
right.
What I wrote.
Like +1 to. It gave us something like the first day or the first check.
Right, the first.
Yes. +1 bonus on skill checks in the waste, plus advantage on first event roll, which we have had.
Okay, right. So this is just the +1 on skill check. Okay, right. So +1. There you go.
Cool. So in fact, I would have. No, never mind. That was a saving throw. I was like, I would have.
Yeah, saving throw wouldn't have mattered.
Instead of 2. No, just saying. Anyway, so here we go. So survival from Inga. Wow, she has so much gear. Cool. Okay. Okay, well, that's a 7. So
yeah. So Frankie, so that's Inga's check. And Inga finds, as previously stated, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
The amount of ash that's covered this over means that even certain areas where Bolo had seen stones now look like kind of just bumps, where they've been where the ash has basically covered them.
Like a really brutal snowfall. Not that anybody would ever know what that looks like.
No one has ever seen that. Yeah, no, I mean at all. So yes. But we do have Frankie. Now, the way this is going to work is essentially because of the circumstances of this, while you are searching for your friend, what I will say is 2 things. Every time you do a regular survival check, okay, that's going to cost you a day of travel in trying to track down this person in the trackless waste. There is, however, a way that I can give you to speed that up, but there is a consequence to it. You can speed up these checks. The devil's bargain, essentially. You can speed up these checks, but you are going to raise the dragon hunt score for every check that you do.
Well, as long as we find you immediately, that's not going to be a problem.
Yes, and it's going to take 1 day in any case because, like, it's to do it regardless. But every additional check is another day.
I think I haven't used any inspirations.
All right, then. Well, there you go.
I have 2, and it feels appropriate to inspire.
And speaking of inspirations, we're at the end of the month, really.
This is the other day John was claiming we're at the end of the month. I'm like, what? We have a week to go and there's like 6 other adventures. Like, never mind that. They're the end of our month. I'm like, oh, really?
And he's like, none of us are in those other games. I'm like, I am.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, what? So anyway, so what you can do is you can do the survival check. The one that we just did for Terry was a fail. But Frakey's, well, for Inga was a fail. But Frakey you can do, and that will still be part of this same single day. But after that, you're going to have to make a decision. Do you just do the one, quote, free one per day? I mean, the hunt score goes up one a day anyway, just normally. But you could get a free one. Or you could do more checks, but every time you do a check, the hunt score goes up, successful or not.
Okay. So wait, sorry. If we don't take the devil's bargain, we are making a survival check
for Frakey, and then one day will have been used total, and then afterwards you'll be into the next day, and then it just depends if you just want to do one, I guess 2, because it's Frakey and Inga per day without incurring a bunch of extra hunt score, or do you want to just be like, I can't find them, and then you do another search, but it's going to expose you to the dragon?
Is there anything that, like, if River is also searching on her side, does that, like,
not going to make a difference? No, it's not going to make a difference. Because if anything, it would even add time. You can't inspire monsters, Red Lair. But
oh, you can.
I mean,
just don't.
Yeah, just don't make that happen. So if Inga is going to make this search for Frakey, and I do not know, to be honest, whether Frakey has different statistics that she has listed or not.
Let's see.
I may have in the Lonely Mountain Region Guide some Raven info.
So I've only, I don't, so for me, I have obviously like River and Stone, but I only have Inga as like an additional person. So let me see what happens here. Watchfulness, extra attack, blah, 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 blah. Ravens of the Mountain. You have befriended a raven of the ancient breed, etc. The time needed for a raven to complete the errand depends on her request. A raven flies at an average speed of 30 miles per hour, enough to cross the whole width of Mirkwood in one day. That feels like a relevant bit of information.
Agreed.
So investigate. The raven can be sent to gather information on a specific subject. It must be something naturally accessible to one of its kind. I don't see a sheet or any...
Okay, so we'll do... First of all, thank you for the 42 months resub. Appreciate it, Rudnell. And okay, so what I will say is, let's see if I happen to have Raven in my Lore Master Guide.
A raven is always well informed about the latest events concerning the wild and is eager to report them. The raven can deliver messages anywhere in the region, passing its content to others kin. The raven can be sent to gather information on a specific subject. A raven might be persuaded to carry some food if able to steal or borrow it from a location within a day's flight. That's awesome. But yes.
Just imagining a raven trying to carry a ham hock.
African to European.
Or kite shield.
Yeah. Okay. I will say for the moment, let's just use Inga's Red Lear has inspired someone. Okay. So
yay.
Thanks, Arudno. I appreciate that, man. Very much for the Twitch sub. And yes, he's inspired someone. No, we'll have him inspire, I assume, Frakey here is what I would guess, as an extension of Inga. So what we'll do is we'll have Inga do her intelligence or her survival check. Just use her stats for this because they're going to be similar, I think.
All right. So gonna do her survival check at advantage with a +1.
As Frakey blends into the ash-choked sky.
Better.
That is better.
A 16.
Yeah, I would say...
At advantage, it's 21.
Oh, wait, sorry. No, it's a 21. It's advantage.
Right. So, yeah, I would say that as Frakey heads aloft and kind of, spirals, can see 2 lone figures, one sort of a little bit more bent over and with arms closer to the ground, and one standing with their cloak kind of billowing behind them a little bit, and flies over. And you can see the river this is now some hours later as the search is continuing from Freki. You can see this dark shape against the sky, which is beginning to clear a little bit now. Although it was closing in on, I guess actually, since it's closing in on dusk, I guess it wouldn't see this. So you probably hear it then as it approaches. And in fact, you and Utgash have stopped, at least for the early evening, around a small fire. And he is there kind of just moodily staring into the fire. And you can see the firelight reflecting off the wildness of his one good eye. And then he kind of jerks up his head and behind him grabs he has a rough short bow and arrow and notches it to the string, and he says, "Something is approaching." And he kind of points up into the sky. You can only barely hear the sort of something, and I'm going to have you make a perception check, River, to see what.
Okay. Can I just say that like I'm instantly building headcanon of how like they've spent these last several hours.
Yeah.
I totally want to like have her just like make continuous attempts to engage him in conversation and ask him questions about his tribe and culture and like,
listening to orc poetry.
Do orcs
Exactly.
sing songs? You know, like River would. When is this opportunity ever going to come again? To like.
Yeah, under his
learn
breath,
things
he's
about-
like, "When there's a whip, there's a way. When there's a whip, we don't
I have
want
some-
15 birds.
I have some constructive commentary to offer on your labor practices, but anyway.
and 5 fir trees." Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Alright,
So perception check.
Perception check. Does anyone want to inspire the River making this perception check? I was gonna do just so that poor Freki doesn't get shot by an orc.
And thank you, Rudnell. So, Tren, you've had an inspiration passed over to you by Rudnell in this case. So you've been inspired, basically, I think is what we're dealing with.
Tren has been?
Yes, has been inspired. Rudnell is, rather than taking all the time to add his inspiration, he subbed at tier 2 so he gets next inspiration. So he just gave it to you. So you are now inspired, is basically what he told you.
Okay.
But I have to make the perception check.
You
right?
still have to make the perception check, yes.
Okay.
I was just letting you know before I forgot.
Dragon Spear, I need inspiration. Thank you.
That's true. Well, is Dragon Spear going to do it?
I was just asking who needs it. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Exactly. Who needs inspiration? Oh, interesting. Settles down to eat lunch.
Hooray,
Dragon
thank
Spear
you.
has inspired the river. I feel like I've seen that phrase, Dragon Spear inspires the river, a number of times.
It's true.
Over the
It's
years.
true. Dragon
Yeah.
Spear is like inspiration MVP. And
Ironic, since you're all going to kill a dragon, possibly with a spear.
Well, that's a dragon spear. It's a spear for killing a dragon.
Yeah,
I
you
think
got to
it's
see it
fairly
though.
appropriate.
It's different spear. It's
I
with the
don't know.
E
I
on the
think-
end. That's why.
I think the specific wording was we were sent to deal with the dragon, not kill it.
Fair. If you could figure out a way to, Okay.
Okay, so that is a 19.
No.
So you, he says, "What can I get a refund?" So you hear this slight flapping in the air, River, and like a slight caw. Sounds familiar. As Utgash kind of has his bow up, and is kind of trying to sight in the darkness.
River says, "No, stop. No, I know that. That's Freki. That's Inga's raven."
What is Freki? Oh, and then you said Inga's raven. He's like,
Inga's raven,
sorry, I say Inga's raven. Look. He's like, he says,
Yeah.
"We will not have a second chance if you are wrong."
I'm not wrong. I'm not. And she like waves her hands in the air and actually goes, "Freki!"
And he kind of lowers and he steps back and draws his sword and just kind of short sword and waits. And then Freki, like, indeed, alights on your shoulder, and sort of kind of slightly bumps up against you, and
River like leans her head against Freki, whom she adores and has longed for exactly this kind of like Anyway, she adores Freaky so much, but is very shy around Freaky most of the time because it's so cool to have a raven friend. When she was a kid, she longed to have a raven friend because, for goodness sake, Radagast always had bird friends and stuff, and as much as she loved having the companionship of a dog to run around, she would nevertheless kind of look at the birds and kind of wish that one would choose her and stuff, but then felt like that was greedy because she had a really cool dog friend who was perfect and best and the best boy ever. But still, like some girls are horse girls, and River was totally like, she didn't have a goth phase, but she would have liked to have a goth phase.
When she would have had a raven. So Freaky kind of, does that and then leaps from your shoulder and takes off into the night, presumably going to triangulate your position now with the others.
Well, if she can, if Freaky can lead us, then we can move towards them and stuff.
Yes, the question is if you want to do this. You could do it at the nighttime. I guess it's not that much different from the day. If you want to leave right now, you can. I will warn you though that you run the risk of a level of exhaustion if you're going to follow now, because you've been going quite a bit. So it's always a balance. It's like exhaustion versus time.
Yeah.
Thank you for the cheer for Gondor, Dragonspear. For Gondor.
It's awesome. I think in that case, it's nighttime. Does that mean that the rest of the party is going to have to journey at night towards her? Or?
Yes, theoretically, or would have to wait until the morning.
Okay.
And in fact, I was going to talk to the party about that very thing.
Okay.
After I was done talking to you.
Well, is this something that they could have figured out before sending Freaky forward, just so that Freaky could also be bringing a message about like whether to stay put or whether to be let back?
I guess. I suppose. It would partly.
I think.
Go ahead.
Probably the most important piece of information that Freaky would bring back to us is that A, he found you, and B, you're in the direction we're already heading.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay. In that case, if that's the case, then yeah, they will stay put and wait for the rest of the party.
Okay. And the rest of the, and just to ask the rest of the party quickly, is the rest of the party also then going to kind of bed down for the night, but with the idea of staying, keeping watch for the return of Freaky, etc.? Or
Freaky return to us?
Not yet. You sent Freaky off, and you were waiting for Freaky to return. But in the meantime,
for my 2 cents, I think we'd wait for Freaky to return, and if Freaky found nothing, we would just bed down for the night, and then if Freaky returned with news, we'd decide based on what we learned.
So just so you know, this is a few hours at least, and that might put you into like midnight. You don't know how long it's going to take for Freaky to find stuff. So
we probably have at least somebody up watching anyway.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. Set a watch.
Okay. Okay. Seems reasonable. All right. Well, then what I will say then is,
out of curiosity, while you figure this out, is Utgash actually wounded? Like, is he at full hit points with a disfigurement, or is he actually like wounded?
He does not look to be wounded as in like current acute wound that has to be addressed. He does always look like he's in some level of pain.
Because I think that if they're like, if River and he are like just hanging out together, I'm wondering if like a staunching song of the woodmen would be helpful in easing the pain.
Possible. You can try doing that if you wish. One note, this is not to tell you to not do it, but remember that will obviously make noise. I don't know whether you want that or not. Here in the waist.
I think that she has already made some. She would sing quietly. But,
okay.
Yeah, I think that if like they already have had a fire and the murk of the waste and stuff, she has sung in the waste before,
already at some risk.
So quietly. So, So yeah, I think she would do it. So here's what I'm imagining. If she sees Freaky, her spirits have been hugely lifted by the sight of Freaky and the decision that okay, we're going to wait here, and then the rest of the party will join us. And I think she'll turn to Utgash and say, "I told you. I knew. I just I knew that they would come for us. They would find us."
He kind of lowers his sword slowly. Cannot trust creatures on wing.
She just kind of, rather than answer that, she just kind of looks at him and says, "Does this pain you? Is that are you in pain?"
My pain holds me together. I am happy for it keeps me awake to my vengeance.
Yes.
That's admirable. Would you?
That's metal. I won't deny that.
It is kind of metal. I mean, River is literally like 1 second away from saying relatable. But
yeah, that's true actually.
Yeah, I think in fact she will say, "I think I know what that feels like. I too have been wounded in battle and felt that the wound itself was a kind of fuel to drive me forward and keep me going."
At this point, he's settled down a little bit more into his crouch again, and battles against orcs, no doubt.
Most recently, it was a battle against dwarves, strangely enough. But...
And his one good eye sort of slightly widens. Good. Perhaps those peoples have begun to tear themselves apart as we knew they would someday.
Did you ever know that you would be allying with a woman of Roscobel in order to pursue your goal?
I knew very little of my life before. When I was born once more in the fire, my life before it ceased to matter. Now I think only of the present and of one moment in the future. And his hands kind of curl around the hilt of his sword.
Well, what I was going to say is that in the past, when I've felt like the pain was what was driving me and sending me forward and holding me together for as long as I needed it to in the heat of battle, what actually held me together was my companions knowing when to reach out and help me. And if you permit it, I could try to help with your pain now.
And he kind of gives you this very deeply suspicious looking, what kind of trick do you propose?
It's not a trick.
Scientology. Sorry.
Maker of that was a hack and a buffoon.
Yes. River says it's no trick. I'm not a healer like Tawny is, but my people have a song that we sing to stop the bleeding or to take the pain away, and I could share it with you if you wanted.
What is this song? And he kind of narrows his eye and kind of, again, sort of settles further into his crouch.
So River, she starts by humming in a kind of just like to kind of find her way into not just the the song itself, but like the specific feeling of this song, the power of the song. And she goes for a little bit, and then the song, the staunching song of the woodman, starts to pour out of her. And at some point while she does this, she opens her eyes and she holds out her I really don't want to trigger another corruption check. It's like, I think she's just gonna hold out her hands like this, just like in a posture, not necessarily to like touch him or not, but because it's, you don't need to be touching the person to sing the song. Wait, let me double check that. Yeah. So she just kind of holds her hands out like this and kind of feels the song kind of pooling there. And she sings the song in a quiet, soft, lullaby-like way, that quiet volume-wise, but it's nevertheless very clear. And it's like a trickle of water over rocks and sunlight, and it's something very just easing and relaxing and calming.
So a moment passes as this song, you just sing the song very quietly, and when you open your eyes again, you can see that he is, his head is lowered slightly, and he slightly rocks back and forth in his crouch. And he says, songs and mysteries. These are not things we focus upon. My people are for blood and war. He kind of pauses and he says, I am not. And he shakes his head. I am not ready to rest or to take your peace upon me. And he kind of stands up and he turns and then looks back and he says, may your song have some benefit to you. I go to rest in my pain. And he walks off just beyond the firelight, but not running away or anything.
Before he goes, she says, just as he's about to turn to go, she says, oh gosh. When you are chieftain of your people again, you can lead them towards anything you want. You don't have to just do things as they were done before. If you say you live only in the present and one moment in the future, there's quite a lot of past you can just let go of.
What you speak would seem like wisdom, but when I am with my tribe again, they and I will need to chart a course that is our own. Whether the past will hold its weight upon us, I cannot tell. I will decide then, and it is my own blade that must guide me.
Understood.
And he turns and walks off. Bolo and Tani, and Inga, I suppose, who is still being thoughtful. When Freki returns, and basically I would say that this happens probably towards the early morning. I want to talk to Bolo about something in a minute, but before we get there, Tani, you would, I imagine, at that point be on watch. I'm just going to assume that everyone's had their rest, so you can see this dark shape kind of flying, which at first you're like, but then you're like, clearly it's Freki, who was returning from one particular direction, and so apparently is likely to do what is necessary. And when Freki lands, you have a sense of where exactly the river, and apparently Utgash, because Freki makes it clear that it's both of them that are there. And you can see, by the way, that while Freki is describing, this basically, or that Stone is kind of like looking up and seems very intrigued by what may have happened to the river. And it looks like if you were to set off in a particular direction, you should be able to find them probably with about an hour or two of travel, going in this particular way that Freki talks about. Is there anything else you want to tell? I mean, Freki looks a little tired, having gone to and from, so you could, but it's up to you as to whether you wanted to tell Freki, well done, now go forth and get me a rabbit, or whatever. Like, right. I don't know what you want.
No, he'd probably be like, he doesn't want Freki to start building a nest in his beard, but he's like, you go ahead and rest here on my shoulder, and it's like, if I start to veer off, just kind of, that way, okay, over there, kind of thing.
Okay.
But, yeah.
The Dragon Hunt score, by the way, is now up to 2, not necessarily for a roll yet, but I'm just letting you know. Bolo, as you are dreaming, as you are there asleep in your rest, you are dreaming. And in your dream, you are confronted by this home. It looks very familiar. It actually looks like it is back perhaps in the Shire, not too far from Bilbo's home. It is your own hole, and with the typical door as you remember it. But as you find yourself walking up to the door, in your dream, the door feels hot to you.
Are there little round windows in the?
There are.
I will just kind of put my hand by the door and feel it.
Feels exceedingly hot.
And I'll go to a window instead of trying to open the door itself.
Okay. When you get over to the window, you at first see only blackness within. And then you can see that the blackness is actually swirling smoke, and licking through the smoke are these spikes of flame. And suddenly, the front door of your house blows open, and fire licks out on the inside. And it's far more intense than a typical, fire that accidentally was caught. It is so searingly hot that you can feel the heat like waves coming over you. And as you're standing by the window frame, the window pane, you can see is starting to crack.
Yeah, I'm stepping back.
Okay.
Not just stepping back, I'm moving back. I'm rushing backwards.
Okay. So you rush backwards, and you kind of almost like stumble backwards as the window flame comes out, and you hear a horrible screaming inside and a shrieking. And at the front of the door, stumbling out of the door, you see what looks like maybe it's one of your companions, but no, it's actually Utgash, the orc, whose face is terribly burned, and he falls and extends his arm towards you, and as he does so, his body erupts in flames, and flames pour along the front walk and pour right up to you, and just before the flames reach you, you awake. I need you to make a corruption saving throw for me, Bolo.
Wow.
Advantage.
Is this at advantage?
It is.
Yeah, because of the hagweed. Which was a very good use of hagweed, as we've discovered.
Yes.
Can you get more than one advantages?
No. You cannot double advantage.
I have a sort of an innate one. Okay.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah, you would anyway against corruption, right? So.
19.
Okay. So it passes, but you can almost feel the heat still on your face, Bolo, even as you kind of sort of start forward, and you see the standing, straight statue-like figure of Tani facing away from you, and you see the figure of Freki the Raven on Tani's shoulder.
Okay. I'll sort of gasp a little bit, like recovering from the dream. And I'll let Tani know what I saw, because these dreams seem important a bit, and perhaps gives a bit of insight into what happened with Utgash. And
which you'll have to let me know, because I was at a restroom break, so I didn't hear it.
Yeah, so Bolo kind of looking a bit upset, looking, sort of warily around, regaining his bearings, and slowly comes to understand where he is. And he says, I had a dream. I was back in the Shire, apparently, by my home, which I could tell was on fire from the heat on the door, the flames in the windows, and the front door burst open, and out walked Utgash, apparently staggering, and then he burst into flame, and the flames came towards me, and then I woke.
Then I had to do a corruption check. Sorry.
Which I bravely faced. I can only assume it was a bit of a window into what happened to him, though I don't know what caused the flames specifically. I would assume the dragon, perhaps, but I don't know. They felt unnaturally hot.
It's curious that it should be your home, though. Why not the Waste or Zarakanbar?
That's true. Although I wonder, could be perceived as a threat of some sort. It might also be perceived as Utgash's perception of where he was at the time. Maybe he felt safe in some way.
Fortunately, the Shire will never burn, so it's not a problem.
Both too soon and too early.
Yes, weird how that works.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did the flames touch you?
They were about to, and then I woke. So no, they didn't quite reach me.
So he indicated that he and his tribe are not from here, so it's not as if this is his home that is potentially burning. Curious.
And Frankie's back, I see.
Yes, and Tani's been packing this whole time.
Okay.
Yes, he apparently found them. They are roughly an hour's rough travel ahead, of hard travel ahead.
All right. Well, unable to sleep from this point forward, Bolo lights a fire and makes a meal, to something decent to bring along, anticipating a meeting with River and Utgash.
Okay. And in the meantime, the River and Utgash have finished whatever meals preparations they've had. And now that there's this sort of general grayness, you wait, and it is indeed about maybe an hour and 15, excuse me, an hour and 20 minutes or so before you see the figures of Bolo and Tani and Inga and, of course, Stone appearing over one of the sort of formless, almost little bumps that might have been a hill at one point. And then you see, of course, Stone, upon catching sight of you, bolting forward, with paws in the ash, and comes right up to you and nuzzles against you and licks your face and the whole bit,
bowled over by him.
Cloud of ash goes up.
Wrestles with him a little bit and cuddles with him.
You all lose sight again of them because of the ash. Like, damn it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And while you're doing this, Utgash just sort of silently regards, as watching. And eventually, Tani and Bolo and Inga, you make your way up to where Stone is. And Utgash just stares silently. And you see Stone and the river's reunion.
This happens a lot.
River, whose face is a little muddy with ash and dog slobber, kind of like rubs it away and stuff, and has like little smears of it on her cheeks and stuff, and goes, well, kind of, it's just so glad to see them, and she just kind of jokingly says, "What took you so long?"
Well,
I was just making a few things, that's all. Bolo literally hands out the cakes that he made.
You prince of the Shire. And she's like, nom, and eats whatever.
He does make a point of giving one to Utgash as well.
Utgash sort of does not take it. Bolo, I imagine, just sort of stands there awkwardly and then like puts it at his feet, and then is just like, take it, just throws it at him. Roll initiative. No, damn it. But no, Utgash just sort of stares at it and eventually kind of picks it up and sort of gnaws off a piece, and then, and you can't tell whether that's enjoyment or whether that's like, this is disgusting, and may have the exact same reaction either way. And after you've had a chance to eat your morning meal and catch up a little bit, Utgash says, "We have lost time. We must make good speed today. Follow." And Ben turns and like sets off again into the wild. So about, I would say, 4 or 5 hours or so, again with only a break or two. So right around maybe midday, Utgash holds up his hand from some distance, and Bolo, you can see him do this, and then you're able to do so as well. And so you're all able to eventually come up alongside. But as you come up alongside, you feel something very strange. All of you do. And as you look down, you can see something below you. And Utgash says, "We are close to where you say your friend has fallen. But first, you must make it through this." You are looking at a brown lake of stagnant and foul water. And down below, you can see that there are things buzzing above it, perhaps death's head midges that sort of rise from its surface. And there is a fetid smell about it that kind of comes up to you as you are standing looking down upon it. And you are all suddenly have this desperate compulsion to drink from the water. I need all of you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, please. This is not corruption. This is wisdom.
Great. Wisdom. So we don't. Yeah. So okay.
No advantage on this one.
Right. Do we get +1 from?
You do get +1. Yep. Wait a minute. No, saving throw. Not an ability check.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
So,
wait. Before, has anyone done it yet? Don't do it. I want to inspire people. Okay. Well. All right. Well.
Bolo maybe.
You see Bolo wandering towards the water.
Yeah, basically.
No! Can I? Okay, I'm gonna make mine. I will.
Maybe you're gonna join him.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I don't want
You're right,
to.
Bolo. That does look yummy.
Well, anyway. All right, I'm gonna do it. I don't know. I wanted to see if I could.
You can inspire Tani if you want. Do you still have the opportunity to do that?
Tani's, you've already got an inspiration.
Oh, that's true. So then Inga.
It's true. Okay, I'm gonna inspire Inga.
Okay. It's not like it's going to waste, is my point.
Yeah.
It's a chocolate lake. Yeah, that's exactly. It's a delicious chocolate lake.
Augustus, no!
Inspiring Inga.
Oh my God. That's funny.
Inga's roll. Okay, that
Good
is
thing.
16.
Okay.
Wait, that was me? No, that was Inga.
That was Inga,
Okay.
I think, right?
I definitely, because it says +2. So wait, shit.
No, it says the river in there. So
That's because the drop down at the bottom of the chat is probably set to the river.
Oh, I see.
wait,
So it is in fact Inga, but the
yes.
drop down is still there. Okay. So
Yes, it
Inga's
is.
fine. So far Inga's fine. We still finding out about Tani has got an inspiration, but I don't think you rolled it yet, right, Tani?
I haven't rolled it.
So we have Tani and the river who are left, and then Stone as well. I have not gotten to the point of making saves for Frankie, but at some point I may do that.
I have an idea about that.
Oh, do you? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
there's
it'll
Rivers.
depend on what happens with Tawny's thing.
Lillimon comes galloping up behind you, dives into the lake.
Christ.
Well,
Good
All
thing.
right,
Well,
that's a
nine.
9.
yeah, that 9, which also means, to quote our dear friend who's not with us at the moment, 9, as in that's not going to work out.
Indeed.
Okay.
Here's Rivers. Sorry, not Rivers. Here's
Oh. Yeah, so...
Wow. Okay, and wait, Stone. Let's see. Let's see what happens with Stone. Can he just drag them back? Here's. I can't inspire Stone, so.
Nope.
Wow, Stone. Well, Stone got 15.
Okay, so...
What Tawny was going to do if he made that save was
Yeah.
just going to grab Frankie and not let him move.
Okay.
But he
Instead,
didn't,
though...
so-
Seems like an awfully good idea. And so you hear behind you, wait, you fools. But the only one who actually listens to this is Inga. Inga and Stone stand at the top. Well, to her and everyone else's horror, she sees the rest of you who run down to the water and practically dive in.
Stopped by any of the, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the problem is the people who are running are mostly faster people. I mean, the only one...
Not faster than Stone.
That's true, but Stone is not really going to be in a position, I think, where he can do anything to stop you long term. Stone might be able to knock you over, but unless Stone's literally going to overbear and grab someone by the throat, I don't think that's going to work long term. More openings for new people, yeah, right. So the impact of this is that...
Before you get to the impact,
yes,
can I ask if, like, I mean, I'm just imagining what would happen with Stone. Just imagining.
Okay, what you tell me what you're imagining.
Well, I think I can imagine, because I mean, Stone, it's fetid and disgusting and horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a case of like it is, you know, a stream in Mirkwood that looks like it could be nice to drink from. This is like something that to a dog's nose would actually be like horrifically foul and not good.
Yes, I would agree with that.
River from. So I imagine, like, essentially what I'm suggesting is, like, can Stone do a kind of grapple situation with River to knock her down?
Not when the only people that are involved are... I mean, what I'll say is that Inga and Stone might be able to stop one of the people from trying to get down to the lake. Mm-hmm. Not going to be able to stop everybody.
This sounds horribly selfish. I'm literally thinking of this in character terms. I'm only thinking of, like, Stone and River.
I buy the idea that Stone would try to stop the river, and if that's the case, then it would probably be, and Inga would probably try to go help, because that's the only way to do this is two people are working together, basically. Right. Also, I will say that while this is happening, Tawny and Bolo, we'll talk about what happens to you in a minute, but the river is going to continually try to pull towards the lake. This is not just going to stop.
That's exactly it. That's what I was imagining.
So,
which is why I was like, I can have her continue to try and break away, for instance. Like, but I just wanted to have it be an attempt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens with Tawny and Bolo first then, as they arrive and drink deeply. And Utgash is kind of fools, and you hear him kind of, yelling warnings. But Tawny and Bolo, you barely hear it, like through a dream darkly, so to speak. As you drink from it, you have a vision as if you are seated at a grand feast, both of you, in the manner of legends of older days. And you are sitting at a table in the bottom of the lake. And above you, you can see the dark water kind of rippling above you. And you're able to breathe. You're not, you don't feel discomfort that way. This hooded skeletal figure sits at the head of the feast table and is surrounded by the spirit forms of many, including Tawny, including Bolo, and Bolo, including Tawny. And you have food and drink in front of you, but the more you eat, and you are racked with hunger and just driven by thirst, and the more you eat and drink, the weaker and more emaciated your dream selves become. Now, what it looks like from the outside to Inga, sort of just staring down, is that, fighting against the river who's trying to get there, is that Bolo and Tani are just lying, just motionless by the edges of the water.
We've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Right. And Utgash says, they must be drawn back. They must be drawn back. Their spirits are under control now. And so Inga hears that, but is a little busy. River, I need you to make a strength check, and you're going to have to do something weird because you're going to have to roll strength for Inga and strength for you.
Right.
Dreamers at the moment can't do anything yet, but I will talk about this in a moment.
Who can do nothing yet?
The Dreamers.
Dreamers, Bolo and Tani at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly, Rudnell. Oh gosh, it's like, God, Sauron, damn it.
Oh gosh, could make himself helpful here.
He may. That may do exactly that.
But anyway, so River has to roll a strength check.
Right, and Inga's a strength check, and Inga's going to be doing the same thing.
The contested strength checks.
Okay,
right.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Inga get a bonus for stone.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, Inga will get a bonus of +2 because Stone is assisting.
That's right. And I get +1 on this? A thing I do not want to succeed.
Sadly, so.
Yes. Okay. Great. Okay. Here we go.
You might be like, the hell with these people. Yeah.
Yes.
That was for you.
That was for me.
Okay.
That was definitely for me.
All right. Let's see what Inga gets.
You may recall that River is not strong. She is very dexterous, and that's how she uses her
Yes.
stuff.
I will remember this and, in fact, clip it for later use in case there's ever... River's actually surprisingly strong, like while holding on to a mountainside or something.
Lol. I've never tried to argue.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
But yeah, so Inga strength.
Ooh, that was sitting on a 1-2, and I was like, wow.
That's
all
11. Right. That's the assist from Stone, right? So.
That's right. And so is able to hold back, but still is not, so the river is still kind of crawling towards them. And Inga, you see Utgash cursing clearly in Orcish to himself, is now heading down the hill, actually sprinting.
River, meanwhile, is saying, "Stop! It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I'm so hungry."
And and he gets down to the bottom and he yells back at Inga, "Knock her out!" And and then and literally dives into the water. Not to drink it this time, but clearly to.
Should I have Inga try to knock? Actually, I feel like she probably would try to knock River out.
She might.
Yeah. When it's her turn again, anyway. But.
Actually, I think you can. Well, okay. We'll see how this happens. In the dream with Bolo and Tani, you were there eating this food that is delicious and yet makes you hungrier with every bite, and this water which is wonderfully refreshing, and yet you become thirstier with every drink. And as you were there sort of staring at this the hooded figure who serves you this food, a terrible fleshless grin on its face, at one point it sort of turns and looks up, and then turns back and then looks up again. And then you are both, Tani and Bolo, confronted by the rather troubling expression and figure of Utgash, whose face appears in front of you, but not sitting at the table, almost as if, and it's sort of looking at you, and then it's like sort of yelling, but you can't hear anything. I need both of you here, please.
Tani basically just like grabs a turkey leg and holds it out.
This is great. To make charisma saving throws for me, please.
Well, this will go well.
I will inspire someone. I have one more inspiration, I think.
Okay, you tell me who you're doing that for.
I did it for Inga before. Which one of you has lower charisma, Tani?
That's very meta.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, I mean, what? It's me inspiring. Do I not get to be meta?
I have two, but I wonder if you would pick Tani because of like the healing aspect.
Because of the healing aspect, maybe.
I mean, this is not River doing this.
Well, Tani has a 1 on charisma, so.
Yeah, I was like.
So he's lower anyway.
But anyway, no. If I'm being rebuked for my inspiration, then I will give it to someone else.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Wait, this is your. This is not a warden.
This is me with my monthly inspiration.
Completely different thing. Okay.
River is not in a position to be inspiring anyone.
River right now is like digging through the dirt. Is what River's doing.
How dare you, sir? How dare you accuse me of meta roleplay?
Easily, apparently, because I'm an ass.
All right, I'm inspiring Tren. That's right. So I'm gonna make sure. Actually, I didn't do either of these in the chat, so I'm just gonna do that. Inspire.
That was a good use of inspiration in this case.
Yes, it was.
All right.
Thank you, Amanda.
And Bolo, I need you to make a charisma saving throw too. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So what that means is that Tana, you are freed from this. Bolo, you are not. So Tani, you kind of come to, and there's a moment where you kind of like, you feel like you're at the feast, and then the hooded figure sort of stands and points slowly and menacingly at you, and then sweeps its hand like it's sweeping the food off the table. And you
tell me, spirits, these are shadows of what might be.
Exactly. Exactly. And the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Okay, so you wake up, and Tani, I imagine you're like because you're like lying in the like shallows of the lake next to it. And as you come to, you look around, and you can see that the river is basically like clawing and fighting Ingan Stone. Bolo is lying motionless next to you, and there is no sign of Utgash. Basically, it's a mess, is what I'm saying. It's kind of a mess.
Okay.
So I will give Tani a chance. Actually, River has to make a strength check first. We're going to do that opposed check again with Inga.
I think, yeah.
And then we'll come back to Tani and see what Tani wants to do, and then we'll come back to Bola.
So I feel like Inga it's totally in character for her to try and knock her out.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So then.
I think she'll take the butt of her axe, or the flat of her axe, even.
Make an attack roll for me.
Yeah, here we go.
Critical hit, destroyed immediately. God,
please don't break me, Inga.
She comes back next session and like she's like, Amal, why are you so mad at me?
me?
Like, you killed me. What? I wasn't.
Great.
It's just this pile of pulp where the river's head used to be. It's like papaya.
Yeah, I think. God, wait. So she's got 2 axes. Wait, no. So it's got the one great axe, but it's called Bright Edge. It seems like it has the same stats.
It'll be a 2-handed weapon, so you get 2 attacks with it, but you're only in this case just making a single attack roll.
You're trying to knock me out.
Yeah, let's hope, right? Exactly.
That's oh well, so the 10 doesn't actually hit me.
Right.
Well, no, I'm grappled. I'm sorry. Should she not get this at advantage? I'm literally pinned between a dog and her.
I guess.
And you're not really trying to resist.
I'm not trying to resist.
Dodge a fight.
You're trying to get down there. Yeah. All right. So 16. That would normally hit your AC, I assume.
It does. Yeah.
I think we've used up the channel point inspirations until next month, Triffid, I believe. Okay, so I'm not going to make you just keep doing this until we have non-lethal damage. I think we get the idea. So you were knocked out, River, and lying on the ground, and Stone kind of is.
Stone is furious.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Stone is probably attacks Inga. This is all a disaster. No, it doesn't do that. But Stone is just sort of sitting there and then kind of growling, perhaps slightly, while looking at Inga, maybe.
I think Stone will put himself between Inga and River and be growly and like super betrayed and hurt and like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And then lick River's wounds and then growl some more.
Exactly. That's funny, Aruna. So Tani, you have come to. You do not see, but as you're kind of like looking around, suddenly you see the disturbing sight of, from the water, up comes Ogash's face, kind of pulling himself forward and, one of you is still entrapped. You must save them. And he kind of spits out a little bit of water.
My God, the Lady of the Lake let herself go. Jesus.
She literally came to slay. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, I'm
Laugh
Oh
it up, Fuzzball.
Oh, I like Ungash so much. So much.
Yeah, so Tawny's gonna, go after hell's that guy's name? Bolo.
So now here's the question: how do you want to do this, Tawny? Now he dove into the water. The question is, what are you? How do you want to do this? Because right now all you know is that he came out of the water, but you also know that Bolo is lying motionless by the water. So there's multiple things you could theoretically do. Okash just sort of took the direct, I don't know what the hell to do, so I'll go down and, but you don't have to do that. You're a healer. You could do other things.
Right. And Tawny didn't see that.
No, it's right.
Busy trying.
All you saw was him emerge, but yeah.
Right. Well, you saw him in the thing going
right.
And then
that's right. Yeah.
But who knows what that was? I offered him a turkey leg and he didn't take it.
It's true.
Dick. So what Tawny was planning on doing was just grabbing Bolo and picking him up, basically throwing him over his shoulder and moving away from the water.
Make an athletics check for me, please.
This should go poorly.
Unfortunately, it says, small heroes have disadvantage on this check if they're attempting to move a medium-sized companion. Fortunately, it is the reverse. So...
6.
Bolo apparently...
My head's thumping against rocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, apparently Bolo is, Bolo has been enjoying the extra meals, and it's taken a little while. You're not, it's not... So yeah. Now because the river's knocked out, Inga could at that point go over and assist if Inga wishes to.
Yes, I think she absolutely would.
Okay. So then let me have you make that athletics check as well.
Okay. Oh wait, also we get +1. So yeah.
In the dream, Bolo's just holding on to a turkey. Just no.
Exactly.
That's a 15.
And yeah, actually, that's more. It's not that inaccurate actually, because as Bolo, you were there eating and feeling weaker and weaker and weaker, but still, this food is delicious. Suddenly, you feel this inexorable force kind of grab you from behind, and your arms from behind and start pulling at you, and the hooded figure kind of stands up and fixes its baleful eyes upon you, and
That's
again
the word you were going for.
points at you, but you are drawn away, Bolo, from it, and eventually Inga has dragged Bolo, and then Tawny has dragged the body of the river, the unconscious body of the river, away from the lake, and I would say about an hour or so later. Tawny. Oh, go ahead, Tawny. Yeah.
Where's Utgar?
He is above the way, just sort of like breathing as he's looking down at you and doing this.
Say if he wasn't out of the water yet, Tawny was.
No, he was out of the water. Yeah, no, he's back. So they're all at this point. They're all there and away from the water. So Tawny, now in the meantime, there's no particular healing at the moment that you could do for them now that they're away. But you do notice as you're sort of looking after them that their breathing is shallow, but not like in danger type of thing. And as their breathing steadies, you can see the color gradually return to their face. But as you're looking down at Bolo, who is still kind of, asleep and gradually coming back to it, his face is pallid and almost looks vaguely bloated, as if he's been under the water, even though, of course, he never was. And as you're watching him, the face comes more and more color to it. And after about an hour, Bolo, you and the river both, actually. The river, you awake with a pounding headache, I'd say, with Stone next to you.
Goose egg.
Yeah, pretty much. Bolo, you awake to the sight of Tawny kind of watching you, and then behind again, I will use the term baleful expression of Utgash, who, again, is in his typical crouch and looks pretty angry.
Kind of like Algra, I imagine.
Mm.
With like the one eye. Just...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Polo like lifts his head and looks around, and he says, "I'm hungry."
River.
You are all hungry and thirsty, by the way. Those of you who were asleep, I should point that out.
River too.
Yes. Anyone who was affected by this, yes.
Yeah. River like is holding her head, going, "What?" And really, like, her head is really tender to the touch. She's like, "Did something hit me? What happened?"
Stone goes, and kind of looks vaguely at him.
He was like, "You tripped on the way to the water. Thank goodness."
And ran into the haft of my weapon. It was a...
Is the smell of the lake still like... It smells horrible?
That's right. You don't feel the overpowering urge to drink the water anymore. In fact, if anything, it's slightly nauseating, this stench. But yes.
River's like, what is that smell?
It is and you hear the voice of Utgash saying, "It is the lake. A haunted lake, where evil men sacrificed to their gods long ago. I warned you of the risk, but you wish to save your other friend. And now we have wasted more time." Hunt score, by the way, is up another point to 3 now.
River kind of blanches at this information and actually like kind of flushes in shame because she clearly was affected by this, and says, "You're right. You did warn us. But we can only move forward from here. If its power over us has waned, we can move forward."
Then you must do so. But if there are more weaknesses to be revealed, you should work to strengthen your mind for what will come. He says that kind of generally to all of you.
What it is worth. Thank you.
And he kind of pauses and then, "Just do not slow me down." And he turns, and as he turns, you hear a very faint... Actually, I need a perception check from everybody, please, because you hear a faint sound from nearby. Okay. Tawny in the river, otherwise occupied. How about Inga?
River has a pounding headache.
Yeah.
Literally.
River's a little focused on. She perceives her head in pain.
Yes. And this next one is Inga. This was Inga.
Okay.
That's 23. That
23.
makes a lot of sense. Love the narrative following dice. Love it.
Inga sort of looks off in one distance. Go ahead.
Tawny has a 15.
That's right.
14.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Because of the +1, right?
Yeah,
so,
and Olo has a 16.
Okay, so then I would say everybody probably but the river hears a faint call of, "Anyone? Anyone?" Like a croaking voice not that far. And Utgash kind of swivels to look in that direction and then spits on the ground. "Your friend may be alive anyway. More delay." And sort of turns and folds his arms. But the rest of you hear it.
I think Inga would sprint towards Lord Elston.
Yeah. Tawny would not be far behind.
I'll buy that Tawny's going to make this. I'm trying to think about the river being in a position to sprint.
No, Inga.
Oh, Inga would. I'm sorry. I thought you said the river.
No.
Okay, yes, fair enough. Boldo, what about you? You did hear this as well.
Seeing the river, like, perhaps not recognizing what's going on, he's going to tell her, like, listen.
What?
It's someone's voice. It's probably Lord Elston. This way, come on.
What? Oh God. Okay. She'll stagger to her feet and follow after. I mean, obviously she's very invested in this, but I think
Sure.
so is Inga. You know, like it was from what I remember of how Inga reacted to Lord Elston before, and the fact that dwarves did this and stuff. I think she'd be there. So River will follow, kind of steady. Well, I mean, I don't know how well Bolo's doing, but she's probably like steadying herself on him a bit as she tries to get her head together.
Yeah, I'd say it fits pretty well that Inga sprints ahead, and then sort of Bolo and Tani in the river, you're all kind of semi-staggering along. And the only one keeping up with Inga probably would be Utgash, although he is kind of trailing behind in kind of an easy lope, kind of looking back at you with his one good eye on occasion.
So, Sir Elston, the first thing he sees is a dwarf running at him. No!
Yeah, no, exactly. We're here too. Like, yeah, that's funny. But actually, what it is you come to Inga comes to the top of a steep-sided sinkhole. Is basically what it looks like. And this thing is pretty small, and it's on one side of the lake. If you had not been looking for this, you wouldn't have come to it, and you certainly wouldn't have come to it on the path that you were on before. And you can hear the sound of this sort of weak calling for help, and you can see the twisted body of someone or something at the bottom of this sinkhole.
It always feels weird to play Inga besides doing rolls, but I think she would lean over and look and call, and say, "Who goes there?"
Help me, please. Will reward you. I don't see. Seems delirious.
Lord Elston, hang on. And, I think so. Inga usually carries rope, right?
We all do.
And stuff. So I think. So how steep is this drop?
Very steep. It's going to require an athletics check to climb down.
So we've done climbing down with ropes before. I think she will. I think Inga will plant a stake, hand the hand part of it to Tawny and Bolo and River when they come to. She is the strongest of the group, and so I think we'll go down to get him. So here we go. So an athletics check. That's a 22.
I think that's plenty. So you're able to get down to the bottom, and you can see now that this is definitely a figure who is in armor, and you can see gray, very dirty gray hair that's sort of over him, and he's kind of face down and sort of looks up a little bit and like kind of you can sort of make out over his shoulder that his face has kind of a silvered beard, definitely a man of later years, maybe even in his 60s possibly, with as I say, this kind of silvered hair. His armor has many dents in it, and his cloak I should say, is torn and rent in many places as well, and he kind of groans and says, "Bless you for your help."
All right, Lord Elston, we're going to get you up to healing, probably, is what he would say. So, anyway, so I think she's going to find what I'm totally imagining is her she's very strong, he's very weak, just like putting him on top of her like a sack of potatoes as she climbs up after securing him to her as well with the rope.
I'll buy the sack of potatoes, although he is wearing armor, and so it is a heavily armored human sack of potatoes. So her climbing up the rope on top of it is going to be a fairly impressive feat, I think, even under these circumstances.
She could strip the armor from him, actually.
Could do that if she wants, or she could try to. It'll take a little while.
She just wrap the rope around him his arms and
Around his
we
neck.
could pull him up.
Theoretically, yeah, under his neck.
Yeah.
No. Theoretically, could do that.
I mean, there are two things.
And the others have now arrived, by the way, at the end of
Yeah.
the edge of the sinkhole and kind of looking down.
I'm imagining they're like holding the rope as well and stuff. So two things I could imagine: either she could strip the armor, take him up, come back down for the armor, and go back up, or she can tie him to her, and everybody hauling together is like assisting.
Yeah, and send down another rope. We have multiple ropes, so
Yeah.
I think you could climb one rope and help him up, guide him on the way.
Okay. Could do that. So then with all of you doing that, I think you're able to bring him up to the top, although he groans in pain with every bump and stuff like that. When you have him back up top, you can see Tawny. Well, I shouldn't assume, but he's kind of lying on the ground in a very bad way, and kind of groaning and kind of rolling side to side a little bit.
Oh, he's dead.
You know
Funny.
where Lord Elston is.
River sort of can't even believe that they've found him. I mean, she obviously he's there and stuff, but she's still just considering everything that they have been through, partly because of believing him to be murdered and stuff. The fact that he's alive feels like this like incredible gift, and she's just kind of within the pounding of her head staring at us going, like, whatever comes, this was the right thing to do and stuff. But anyway,
He's
she
like,
looks at Tawny like, what do you think?
Tawny's already, town got the pack open and he's tending to it.
So two things you note immediately, Tawny. The first is that he has his ankle is badly sprained and twisted, but probably not broken. He's obviously going to have to hobble, but that's not a problem. What is a problem is that he has 2 deep knife wounds, both clearly infected. It doesn't look good unless you get a hell of a healing check, or unless there are other virtues that others could bring to bear, like other things that you could think of that actually has a virtue that fits this. I mean, virtue capital V, not just like, I think I can sing him a song he likes. Like, it's got to be something which is some mechanical thing. And as you're doing the healing, just a little bit of healing, though, Tawny is able to say, bless you. Those wretched dwarves attacked me as I slept, and they stole my sword and shield. I got away from them, and I wandered in the waste, and then they came at me again and imprisoned me here. They're in league with the dragon, I guess. They mean to stop any of us from reaching the tower. I don't know if I can make it. Just go on without me. I'm not going to help you anyway. Now. And Utgash kind of sort of scornfully snorts in the background.
River says, like, she kind of kneels next to Lord Elston with some urgency and says, we have your buckler. We brought it here. We don't have his sword. I don't know if we knew that he had a sword, actually.
Yeah, you didn't know. But he has bucklers. My shield, you mean?
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, it's not a buckler.
Sorry, yes, your shield.
Kite
ship,
shield.
Boat, whatever. Anyway, no. Anyway, River will say, we have your shield. But what do you mean that in league with the dragon? I thought perhaps they wanted the fame and the glory for themselves, but
I do not know. I think the dragon has spies. I felt their eyes upon me, and when they ambushed me at the place, my shield. You have my shield.
Yes, we do. But Tawny will help you first. We'll both help you. She will bring drag or Inga will probably help to drag the shield towards him in case just seeing it will make him feel better.
So he does actually, and he reaches his left arm out.
That's not my shield.
Yeah. She drags it over to him and hands it to him.
And he actually, despite the fact, as you say, drag it, but he pulls it up and There's a moment where he kind of holds it up, and you can see perhaps a vestige of his former strength as he holds it above him, and then, doesn't hold men good to have this. You can't do anything more for me. Go on. Thank you for giving me. And he kind of slides off into unconsciousness again, semi-consciousness. Go ahead, Tawny. You were going to say.
I was going to say, because they've met before, so Tawny's going to be like,
no, delirium.
Shut up.
Yeah, he doesn't even remember.
I know, but Tawny's still going to tell him, shut up, yeah. Chew this. And...
how much healing are you looking to do, Tawny? And then I'll talk to the river about that.
Depends on how long we're going to be here.
Okay. Well, I'll bring back to all of you. How long are you going to be here?
River looks at Tawny and she's like, do you think it would help if I sang for him? And so, but he knows, like, can that help?
Couldn't really hurt, but he looks around to see if there's like the for him now the idea of this song drifting across the waste is like,
You notice Utgash with his arms folded, just sort of like staring at all of you.
I just want to help. Yeah. And the thing that River can do, obviously, is in addition to the staunching song of the woodsman, is she can also gift a warden's die to Tawny in his helping out, in his healing and stuff. He has not historically needed this, but if it would help.
Now that you've said that.
But if it would speed things along, then I think that her singing the song can double in this case as both her actually singing the staunching song and also being the means of inspiring Tawny with Warden's gift.
Okay.
He looks at Utgash and is like, I know time is of the essence, but if we could spend an hour.
You said that to Utgash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he says, his weakness says he should be left behind. And he kind of...
weakness, but you have not yet seen his strength.
I have seen it here. What strength he had is gone. Do as you will. Every hour is an hour longer before the revenge is brought. And he kind of like angrily sort of turns and sort of walks slightly off and just stares off towards the mountain.
As just to occupy him in a way, I'm gonna go to where he is and just say, well, while we're waiting, I did have a question for you, and I described the dream that I had, and I just wonder, is that really what happened? And do you know why it was in the Shire, my dream?
And
he's home.
And he kind of stares down at you, and then he says, I do not remember my dreams, for they are treacherous. I have never been to this place you call the Shire. But if you felt the fire, the heat, you may have felt the malice of the worm himself. And he kind of looks back up at the mountain. You can see the smoke kind of rising from it even closer here. And he says, even now he looks for you. If he found out where you were from. He kind of stares back at you with his terrible burned face and has a slight, maybe it's a grin or maybe it's just the expression. I could imagine him tracking your home down and burning it to the ground.
Bowler shivers, and he says, I certainly hope that doesn't happen. I hope we can stop him or send him away.
You need not worry of hope. Anger will do better. Anger.
It's not an hour, it's 10 minutes, so...
Oh!
All right, then I'm not as angry. Just kidding.
So,
okay.
It's 2d8 times 4 plus 5.
Okay, let's make that happen.
So that's 20,
20?
it's 15 times 4.
Times 4?
Times 4.
That's 60.
Okay.
Plus 5.
65.
He leaps up, a spry old man of 20, 25.
Say, that's how much he heals, yes.
Like, woo!
He heals 65 points. Very good.
Because Tawny, if he can spend 10 minutes,
yeah,
it does a lot more.
Incredible.
So he kind of pulls himself up, like kind of rolls over and, well, that's much better actually. Tawny, it's Tawny Bear.
Hello. Yes, it is.
Only you could have done this level of healing.
Not true.
And he looks at the knife wounds in the ankle. He said, I mean, I've had worse. That this big cave troll caught me by the legs at the Battle of Five Armies and
probably not the best time to go into this.
Oh no, well,
time is of the essence, Lord Elston. We need to continue our mission.
And
do you feel up to aiding us?
I can walk, and because I can walk, I have my will, and now I have my shield. And he stands. He picks up his shield, and then he turns and he sees Utgash. And there's just a moment, and he just stares.
River says, Lord Elston, let me introduce Utgash. Utgash, Lord Elston. Utgash is our guide through the waste. He led us to you. He is, in fact, we could not have found you without his assistance. And I think it would be of great benefit to our endeavor if you began this acquaintance by thanking him for this assistance.
So he pauses, and there's just this like dead silence that falls between the two of them, and Utgash kind of and then Lord Elston sort of looks back at you and then says, "We have come to strange times indeed, when now we find ourselves falling in with servants of the enemy." And Utgash kind of, and Elston says, "But if what this group, these heroes, have said is true, then I am grateful. Thank you." And he lowers his head, and Utgash sort of waits, his eye glinting. And when Elston sort of stretches back up and looks at him, Utgash says, "Carry your weight and follow." And that's we're going to bring our session to a close.
I love it. This is so good.
I am a big fan of the way you've both seen this crew coming together. It is a lot of fun to play Utgash also. So thank you. Thank you for the cheer for my Manchester United shirt, Dragon. I thought you'd appreciate that very much as well. Good stuff. This is very, very interesting, and I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out in the end. But there is a great deal, obviously, that's going on here in terms of different people that have been found, and it was a bit of a roller coaster today with ups and downs. And but it was good work, I think, from the party in trying to navigate what they were dealing with. And again, a further reminder of just the horrible nature of the waste. This place sucks a lot.
It sucks so bad.
Oh, and also one thing we do need to do.
I was hoping you'd forget this.
Yeah, is that we do need to make a corruption check, just a normal, regular, everyday corruption check for the fact that it's another day in the waste. So I need everybody to do that, please. Tani, Bolo, River, if you could do one for ML, if you could do one for River and Inga. And you will get your advantage against the corruption, Bolo, as usual.
Corruption saving throw, right?
Yeah, it is a corruption saving throw, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, not a check, saving throw. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Inga is so go. That was a 20. Wait, that was in 20 for Inga.
Okay. We got a 23 for Tani, I think.
Yep.
All good.
Gonna do stone.
Yep.
So gonna do
crit misses, becomes the shadow demon dog.
is a 10 for stone.
It's not a crit miss, but okay.
And for river, that is a 14.
The people below a 15 are going to get a point of shadow. So that means that I think we've got Bolo with 1, which brings you to 4, I think, Bolo.
No
Stone.
pluses on those saves.
I'm sorry, say again?
No pluses on those saves.
No. There's pluses on ability checks, and this is not one of those. There's advantage on these saves, but you already used that, took that into account. So,
yeah.
So Stone has got 1, Bolo has got 4, and River, unfortunately, you have got 4.
Okay, and right, Inga made hers. Hooray!
But Inga made hers. So
Inga
she does not enter the double-digit shadow point level. Which would be the case. Okay, so sorry, I want to make sure I did not forget that. Okay, so as I was saying, it's been an emotional roller coaster, but it was fun to see the party go through this, and I am very, very excited to see what happens as they are perhaps coming close to being near the mountain and actually having this semi-confrontation, because we're about to talk about directions to go and all that good stuff. So we will deal with that next session. But I will start on the I'm going to switch over to the cams only thing. So I will start with the bottom right of our set of squares here. Not people, they are not squares, just the set of squares. And that is, of course, Amal. Good stuff, Amal, with the staunching song. I was interested to see what happened with this when you were separated from the rest of the party. Again, as Trent and I always talk about, the die roll meeting the narrative, right? That in this case, it made sense that you got separated a little bit. And so you had this moment with this clearly orcish orc. Like, this dude is not, kind and friendly. That is not his deal. But that was interesting to see that played out a little bit. And of course, being able to, it was a good thing that you made that perception check so that we didn't get an arrow shot towards Freaky, which would have been not so cool. And then of course we have the situation of you being knocked out by Inga and, all that stuff. So there's a lot that went on in this, and the River is still trying to fight through it. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I really, really loved today's session. Like, it was so cool. I really, like, a character like Utgash is so interesting an addition to the party, especially when everyone gets to have a kind of interaction with him, like Bolo telling him about his dream and stuff, and like, it breaks my heart that Tari's not here, because like the idea of Inga having to interact with this would have been really great to see, but I loved River with like getting separated with him. Like, this is just the thing about Utgash is that, like, yes, he's an orc and he's an orcish orc and he's terrible and unpleasant, but he also has a kind of nobility to him of, like, the nobility conferred by suffering and single-mindedness.
Yeah.
Like, he is basically as close to a paladin as I've ever seen an orc get,
almost like an anti-paladin, that he has his own code, whatever, right? And he
has a single-minded pursuit, and he will do like anything in support of that pursuit, up to and including allying with people who, like, I have to say, like, I will continue to, I swear, I want to have like an extended flashback of just like the hours that River had to spend with him and stuff, because she would be so irritating. I cannot even begin, but like in a hopefully endearing way. A question she would 100% have asked is, so when you're walking with us, do you basically see us as food? Like, are you basically walking around with, like, does it, like, genuinely very, very curious about what it's like to just be surrounded by people who you would normally eat, but who are working with you in, and stuff. Yep. I just think that would be really cool. And I don't know. I just, like, I feel like they're not obviously not bonding actually, because he is still an orc, but there is so much narrative potential for exactly this kind of situation. It is like catnip to me. Like, it is the kind of thing I love to read. And it's not the kind of thing I've ever written before, but I love reading it. the sorts of like, enemies to tentative grudging ally situation. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it so much.
There's an old '80s movie called Enemy Mine.
I have it right over there.
Yeah,
On DVD.
which is a little bit like that, where you have these two enemies. I think isn't Dennis Quaid in
Dennis
that?
Quaid, Louis Gossett
And
Jr.
Louis Gossett Jr. and like that, where you have something similar to that. Yeah, I also happen to like characters with that sense of honor. And publishers out there, I do have a manuscript called Sunrise and Empire, which originally was done through a certain novel writing workshop that Brad knows about. And if you would like to ever see it, please let me know. That deals with this kind of subject. But anyway, I am a fan too. So
yeah, so I super loved it. I'm just totally like editing together a narrative in my head of how Inga has been experiencing this very strange time being allied with an orc and stuff. But I do hope that Inga gets to have like the kind of heart to heart that I mean, Tani also a little bit did on coming out of the lake, and stuff. Just some kind of like one-on-one time with, oh gosh, I don't know. It does make me think a little bit of like with Avatar: The Last Airbender, with the TV show, the original TV show, where when they first ally with Zuko, and I can't remember who. I think it's Toph who says, "I want my character building exercise with Zuko and stuff," and everyone has gotten to have like a bit of a thing with him. And he's just like this grumpy jerk. Anyway, it's. I love it very much. I loved literally everything, I think, about this except for the gaining of shadow, but all of the horrible, horrible waste adventures, all of the grudging pacing of, oh gosh, finding Lord Elson. It was just like fantastic. It was worth waiting a month for, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's basically it. Where people can find me next. I don't know. Subscribe to my newsletter. I don't know yet. I'm not making any appearances. I wish I could be at Gen Con. The world is not yet organized for me to do so. Yeah, just that's basically me. Find me on Twitter or on my newsletter, and that's it.
good stuff, Amel. I would tell the orc he is more than his injuries. He should not be seen only by them. And then we make spicy fries and listen to Garbage and Bjork together. All of that is perfect. I straight up, or Whole maybe, right? Like I'm thinking like or well, no, not The Cure. It would have to be more. I mean, that's not enough. That's really funny. Anyway, always a pleasure, Mel. Good stuff today. And yeah, we will do it sooner than a month next time for sure. Again, you will hear back from Tari. Hope everything is okay. I will double check with Tari again, but Tari is not with us today, but should be back with us, I believe, as far as I know, next session. So you should find Tari's work, including the design of the coin, which some of you are going to be getting because of supporting the Gray Shade Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, congratulations. I haven't said this to you properly in person yet. Congratulations on meeting the goal.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Brad was talking about it before we went on stream. Thank you. Yeah, the last time we played, we were actually at like 7,000 something, and we did get to we ended up at 25.8. We did get there, but man, it was it was quite a push. But it will be in the world. The big important thing that came out of that is that Renegade and Heretic, the two sequels, and the RPG will and Trent's audiobook will come out of this. So that is good things, and it sets a foundation for that whole IP. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you. And thank you for supporting it, for everyone who did. Moving right on over to Brad. Brad, again, Bolo had some interesting moments there. First of all, Bolo as scout, and then Bolo having to deal with this dust storm. I wondered at one point what was going to happen if Bolo, who was out front in the storm, was going to get sort of isolated and just immediately, incapable. But it turned out was not the case. Wasn't able to prevent really wanting to drink this water and, sitting at this underwater deadly feast that would have been deadly if not rescued. I also really liked that moment of Bolo coming up to Utgash and talking to him about the Shire and about the dream. That wasn't something I had expected. And it was interesting because Utgash's reaction is just like, I don't give a damn about the Shire and whatever, and you should be worried because maybe that's Dragonfire and maybe, da-da-da-da. But he's not deliberately necessarily doing it to be cruel. It's just very much like life is pain, and everyone dies terribly, that kind of thing. But it was so to me, that moment of incongruity of Bolo just standing next to this overwhelmingly great, enormous looking orc who's just kind of like burned and all that was very interesting. And I like those little vignette moments, Utgash with the river, Utgash with Bolo, and so on. Even Utgash with Tani, when Tani thanks him and he's just like, whatever, keep up, stop dying or whatever. Those were all really cool. And I liked seeing that moment from Bolo also. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, this is a really fun one. The addition of Utgash in general just makes me think about shades of light and dark in storytelling, and if you have too much of one or the other, they start to sort of become all gray and sort of meaningless. And so if you have like a dark character with a bunch of light characters, the interplay that you can have really makes things pop, and sizzle, in terms of like their interaction. So like his addition is just a really interesting way to liven up the game, just speaking outside of character, and then just gameplay. I continue to be impressed and enjoying the way that not just the game, the design itself helps to create atmosphere with respect to the waste, but that we also have like the waste could easily be turned into like this just monotonous wasteland, right? And instead we're finding these odd little pockets of weirdness, throughout. And so we're getting this.
They all suck, but they're
they do, but they sort of add to one another and stuff, and turn it into this just sort of deliciously creepy land, that is more than just like, oh, a wasteland, oh no, it's a lot more than that. It's all these, there's all kinds of dangers that we're in for, and it just sort of like sets the stage for what's to come. So that's like really cool for me too. So really fun to sort of add some of that to the weirdness that we saw with her finger, and then moving forward. So so where to find me? I'm heading to Gen Con next in 2 weekends. A couple of Wednesdays I'll be in Indy. So we'll Greg and I will be there. We'll see each other, and I don't know if anybody else will be there. If you are, so come and say hi. Be doing some seminars and panels, and then find me at quillings.com. That has all my social stuff, and you can follow me there and sign up for a newsletter. And otherwise, we'll be back here to get a step closer to a dragon.
Good stuff. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I will see you next week, along with I will also see Triffid will be there, and Garlic will be there, and the Rising Tides, although I don't think he's in here right now, will be there. Brandon O'Brien and different folks, so that'll be great. But thanks, Brad. Good stuff today as well. And last but certainly not least, Trent Tani had, first of all, typical tour de force healing moment, just like 60, 15 times 4, 60 is what I said. So there's that. But then in addition to that, I mean, again, I really like that idea of, for what it's worth, thank you. And I think a lot of the party reacted this way, which is kind of like, it's very hard to kind of turn around feelings one way or the other about an orc. And I think it's been clear, and Arudnel said this very well in chat, the orc is, Utgash has not proved himself to be like, he's a good dude who would do, he has a very clear purpose, and he's like, you people can't die yet. Like, I need to do this stuff. But the one thing you can't accuse him of is being a coward. He's not a coward, and so there is a kind of grudging, more than just grudging respect, but a sense of like, all right, like within your moral code, you're not a piece of crap. Within your moral code, I don't agree with your moral code. No one should be swearing to Sauron. That's really bad. But like, and the waste has a way of kind of changing your vision of typical morality. And it was interesting to see a little bit of that from everybody, but I just thought about that with Tani and the thanking him as well. And then, Tani always seems to be the one who's awake when people come back like ravens and all this other stuff, which was happening as a consequence of it. And so, I'm going to be interested to see how Tani thinks about these things going forward. And of course, Tani also had the turkey leg and the meal down underwater and all that kind of stuff. How did you feel about today's session, Trent? Where will the fine folks find you next?
What were you laughing at, Brad?
The turkey leg scene.
Oh, yes. That was.
Why don't you have this? He's like,
it's good. Try it. like everybody else, just I really enjoyed today. I think for me, the thanking him.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm just so sleepy. But the was kind of harkening back to what the river said. It's our compassion that makes us. That pulls us through things like this.
Yeah.
And so that's what Tawny was thinking is like, you may not appreciate this, but this is part of who we are. So I'm still going to thank you. Even if you don't appreciate it, it is our compassion that motivates us, that drives us and keeps us moving forward. So it felt very important that Tawny would thank him.
Yeah.
The other thing that really stuck out to me was something I didn't get a chance to talk about yet because it wasn't that important, and it was just a side, external to the game. But when Frecky came back, and I was like, "Don't build a nest in
my beard.
You can rest here." But I had gone to use the restroom, and while I was doing that, I had a flashback to a Sesame Street episode. It was either Sesame Street or the Electric Company. I'm not sure which one it was, but the thing was like beard. There was an old man with a beard who said, "Alas, it is just as I feared. 3 owls and a hen, 2 larks and a wren have all built their nest in my head." Yep.
It's an Edward Lear.
It's Edward Lear,
Lear nursery rhyme.
Yep.
Nice.
Or limerick, rather. Yeah.
Yeah. So that came to mind while I was.
That's what Akash was saying. But then sadly, he was into my beard.
Right. Well, your beard is gone. So
too soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I thought this again. We had the wonderful thing of the dice following the narrative, and it's just freaky, not freaky, how well they do that.
Yeah.
And it's just great. Just great.
It really is incredible. I was trying to draw a line to like who actually picked up a shadow point at the end as well, and like who had, been compelled by the bad lake and stuff. But I don't think that quite mapped on.
Not quite, because Stone, for example, picked up one and did not have it. But yeah, I mean there was definitely some of that in there. So I actually have an illustrated version of that book that my kids have read. My son in particular. Yeah. So.
Will see me next. I don't know. We haven't figured out next month's thing. However, the guy that I love is moving to San Diego in the mid part of August, and I'm helping him with that drive down. So the middle of August, I definitely between the 13th and the 20th, I'm definitely not going to be here. So
neither am I. I am also meeting beloved friends and stuff.
So if it's between the 13th and 20th, one note, which is that probably we won't be doing the 9th because I'll be not quite back from Gen Con then. So we might have to see, definitely the 30th, Tuesday, and maybe the 23rd. Maybe?
Yeah,
the 23rd and 30th
would work for me.
So we'll talk about that in Discord, but I just wanted to be thinking about those two things. But great stuff today, and I am very excited to have what will I assume and hope will be the full crew back there. It will be great. But in the meantime, thank you very much, players. This is great stuff, and we are closing in on the appearance with the dragon in the mountain, and it's going to be good times. Thank you so much, as always, to my wonderful players. Thank you to Trent Sparks. Thank you to Brad Bollier. Thank you to Amal Elmatar. And Tari Tunes will be back with us next month. Chat, can we get some love for them? And thank you, players. I'll see you all soon.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye for now. All right. So that is going to do it for us on this channel for today, but not overall, because we have got some more D&D coming at you, or I should say D&D related stuff coming at you. With this, we have got some, as I exit this game, we have got some Ghosts of Saltmarsh coming at you, and it's going to be arriving in about 35 minutes. A little bit over a half hour. We will be over on GOGCOM's Twitch channel at 4:15 p.m. Eastern to play some D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh, so you're definitely going to want to stop back for that. And then, as I say, we will be off Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is the premiere of Court of Blade, although possible bonus stream in there, maybe, but no promises. Conceivable, though. Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday will be not Ghost of Saltmarsh, will be the premiere of Court of Blades, Valorword Court of Blades. That is going to be happening on Friday. You will definitely not want to miss that. I am very excited to be playing in that with Mike Underwood as GM, and then the amazing players alongside me, which consists of Primi Muhammad and Brandon O'Brien and Marie Bilodeau, along with myself. So that's going to be awesome. Friday, that's a Speculate event, Friday night. And then Saturday, around 7 p.m. Eastern, it is the premiere of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, which will be happening. And that'll be happening Saturday night. And then we will be done with July, and then we will have August. And again, the first 10 days or so are going to be very much up in the air. There's going to be probably my regular Tuesday stream here. Probably will not be able to do my GOG.com stream in the afternoon next Tuesday. That's my guess. But I will do probably one stream live from Gen Con. Don't know how many more I'll be able to do, though. And then the following week, I'll be getting back on that Tuesday. And so we'll have to play all that by ear. And then we'll be back then we'll be here basically all the way through the end of the summer, into September, and then probably up until CanCon, when things will change slightly just for that weekend. But otherwise, I'll be pretty much here. So it's going to be good times. This is going to be awesome. So in any case, I'm going to rise up on out of here. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel. Please check our YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, website arvinelleron.com. Financially, I just saw a thing that was commenting about Hooper's death. Oh, Gordon. Yeah, that's really, it was like, I know you're not, that's really sweet. A lot of people talked about the power of that and how a lot of people were very unsure whether they were going to do that episode even, because they weren't sure how to put it. Was it going to be too, what was it going to be too immediate? Was it going to be too, difficult, focus in, now focus on me. Thank you. Was it going to be too difficult for kids to handle? But they did it. And they, Sesame Street has always been willing to make hard choices like that. And they always make the right ones, it seems. So that was really great. That's cool. That's cool. It's really neat. Worldcon is a possibility, Triffid. I mean, I'm in programming on Worldcon. I'm on programming in Worldcon. And I don't know what my schedule is yet. What I am starting to get a little worried about, though, are the travel plans for this, because Gen Con I can drive to. I don't think I could fit in a drive out to Chicago, which means I'd have to fly, and I am very unsure about that given the current sort of trajectory of COVID in this country. So I don't know exactly what's going on with Worldcon. I want to go to it, and I'm still planning on it, but I'm a little worried about the whole COVID situation in terms of flight. So we'll see. I have not made up any final decisions about that. If so, that would be during Labor Day weekend for sure. So there's that. But right now, we have, again, to do what we have to do. So following the channel is always important. Why does my camera continue not to focus? It has trouble whenever there's a lot of light. It sort of struggles with that. All right, stay there. Don't move anymore. So, where was I? Yes. So follow the channel, but I want to go Triffid for sure. I like Worldcon, exclamation point, Arv Tube for my YouTube channel. Please sub to me over there. We've had a few people jump on board with that. Exclamation point Arv Cord is the Discord channel. Very funny, Rudnell. Website, Twitter is exclamation point Arv Tweets. And the website for this is arvinelleron.com. Financially, exclamation point Arv Shop, my merchandise area. Exclamation point Arv Treon is the Patreon, which is the financial backbone of the channel, sitting right there. I thought about it, Arenth. I know, exactly right there. I thought about Arenth. Train is over a day, and I really cannot take a full day like in a train to drive there. That's just as bad, if not worse. And so the real answer would be driving. And the question is, can I put in another 11-hour trip just to drive out there? I don't know. So I'm still kind of debating it. Anyway, we'll see it. I need to see what my schedule looks like as well once they get the schedule to us. They're getting the schedule to us quite late. I understand reasons why, but it is coming to us quite late. Normally, we would have already had our schedule. So that means once I actually get it, I'll be able to make a full decision on that. So yeah, and I'm already it's already a 11.5-hour drive to get to Indianapolis for Gen Con. So I'm already doing that once. So I don't know that I want to do that basically twice in a month or twice in 5 weeks, whatever. But we'll see. Anyway, right. So website arvinelrun.com, ArvShop, !ArvTry on for the Patreon. Subbing to the channel, as several of you did today. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the tier 2 sub upgrade from Arudinel and other folks like that. And then we've got the publishing side, Icarus, for my Icarus graphic novel from the amazing Athos Arts, Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, which is again, I'm actually, that came from the Gen Con Writer Symposium event, and so I'm doing another one that I'm writing up right now. Very excited about that. And then we've got, of course, Grayshade for our Grayshade Kickstarter, which has concluded successfully. That now I think is going to be linked, so it'll bring you over to the backer kit. You can pick up a copy from Athos right now of Grayshade the novel. You can also, once you get a chance to do this, I don't know if we have backer kit up and running fully yet. When we have it up running fully, you'll be able to go there and support so that you'd be able to pick up the next 2 books, Renegade and Heretic, if you haven't done so already, and you'd be able to pick up a copy or pre-order a copy, still being set up. So it's not up yet. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was up totally, not yet, but when it is up, you'll be able to get Renegade and Heretic, and you'll be able to get pre-order those, and you'll be able to basically pre-order the Grayshade RPG as well, the 5e RPG. So all of that will happen. But Grayshade, you can go right now and get that from Athos Art's website, and I encourage you to do that. To go over there and pick up a copy of that novel. As always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, Ukraine, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back an illegitimate and illegal war, a devastating war. And this is our small way of helping them as they continue that fight. I am going to be heading on out of here now, but I will see you folks in just under a half hour over on GogCom's Twitch channel for Pen and Pixels and a little bit of the awesomeness known as D&D with GOG, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Thanks everyone for being here today. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for being amazing as always. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudinel Dragonspear, Garlic Tofu, and Triffany Mats, the best in the business, as I've always said. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Rudinel, Dragonspear, Garlic, Triffid, Effect Life, Arendt, and Redlear. Thank you so much. And a thank you to my viewers. Thank you to About, to Amal, to Craigery. What's up, Craigery? Thank you to Dark Steel, to DM Chromie, to Echo Alpha, Little Rory Sarasa. Thank you to Nonstop, T-Bank, and Trendane. And while we're on the subject of trends, special thanks to my wonderful players today. Thank you to Brad. Thank you to Tren. Thank you to Amal. That's it for me. I'll see you over on GogCom's Twitch channel in a little bit. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other, and bye for now.